Hello, hello. Okay, we gotta fix this so it's actually the right size. eh. Eh. There we go. Okay, it's fixed. Yay. Okay, so how's it going? Happy Monday. I'm so fucking tired. I have so much to do today. It's crazy. My weekend was super fucking busy. Yeah, busy, so busy right now. Hi, I mean, it was a good weekend. It's just like, after I get off stream, which by the way, we're probably gonna go till like 12:30. It's not gonna be a super long stream. We're gonna do like half an hour, or 2 hours to 2.5 hours is what I meant to say. Yeah, so we're gonna work on TeddyChan, and then I'm gonna not sit on this blanket, and then we're gonna after that I have to work on orders I have to ship out, which is like a lot of stuff. I also have to go run a bunch of errands all over town, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah. What do you mean, how much is going on this week outside of filming? It's the week of Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is happening outside of filming. I have to prep for Thanksgiving. It's also my anniversary this next weekend, so I have to prep for that as well. So there's a lot of shit I have to do. I'm gonna open the window because it's hot in here. Do you already want out? Okay, fine. Go. Silly puppy. All right. Anyway, yeah, so I'm so tired. Yes. What? No. Like I said, other than streaming with Katie and our Japanese stream on Friday, this is the only stream this week. I'm not doing my other stream on Wednesday because I have to film Wednesday. I have to somehow wake up early enough so I can film before me and Katie start streaming. I have to take all the photos before then. Then after I get off stream, I have to film the video, and then I have to start cooking for Thanksgiving. I have to clean. I have to get everything fucking ready and stuff. Tomorrow I have to do all the shopping for Thanksgiving. I'm filming a bunch of shit tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be like main filming day, but I also have to run errands and stuff and hope and pray that not everything is out of stock. And then Thursday, obviously Thanksgiving, super fucking busy. And then Friday I have to edit everything and then get ready for my anniversary. So it's very, very busy. Yeah. That's the plan. Oh no, I just realized we don't have our music on. Okay, now we should have music. Hopefully it's not too loud. But there you go. Now we have music. Ugh. I'm so fucking tired though. But anyway, so we're gonna work on TeddyChan. I decided I wanted to make like a chibi version of her. Wait, hold on. Let me check something really quick. I need to hide her really quick so I can just double check to make sure there's okay. I just have to be careful to not show the naked torso. We're good. Anyway, so currently what I'm stuck on is the eyes. I'm not sure where I can't get them to be right for some reason. They're just, every single time I do it, they're just not what I want. So I'll show you, this is the other version I have. Let me open them. Yeah, so this is version 1. This is version 2. I can't decide which I like better. I like version 1 better, I think. But I don't know. I wanted, yeah. That's where I'm at right now. This is them half open. We have half open, and then we've got closed. So, yeah. That's where I'm at right now. And I don't know, which do you guys think one is better, or do you think, what do you guys think? She looks like she's high or tired. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, I couldn't get the eyes in the right spot. What I was hoping was, I wanted to have eyes that looked more like, sort of like Tanya's, but at the same time, I don't feel like it fits her character. I feel like these ones fit better. Also, let me remove the double arms. Hold on. We have 2 arms here. 4 arms. Check. Okay, there we go. Anyway, oh, I need to, whatever, the bows are the bows. The bows are staying. The bows will always be there. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll do this one then. We'll do this. We'll stick with this. Okay, so I guess then all we need to do is shade it. Which is the fun part. Just kidding, I hate shading. That's why we're gonna do it together. So it's less boring. Okay, I'm glad you guys agree. I was second guessing it, so I drew a second pair. But yeah, I think upon revisiting, these eyes definitely look better. But anyway, do you like her chibi form? For those of you who haven't seen her full form, let me this is her non-chibi form, which is a hot mess, but we're fine. We're good. It's okay. It's okay. I need to do, oops, I went too far down. You saw nothing. I need to finish doing the entire body with this kind of shading. But like I said other times, the Procreate doesn't let me have enough layers. But like, yes. I am excited to make that actually work. But anyway, until then, we're doing Chibi. We're gonna keep it simple, because I want to start streaming with her. I'm tired of not doing it. And like, yes, I could stream with just the PNG of her, but I think what I'm gonna do is create a room that has just a photograph of the PNG of her full thing in the background, and then just work on the chibi to like fully get that one all ready so I can rig that one up, / maybe have someone else rig it up for me because I'm so not good at it. I'm still learning. But anyway, yeah, so I'm thinking this first. This will be easier, and then we can move from there. And I'm gonna just have it so like she has like 2 different arms. Just basic eye movements. I'm not gonna make it too complicated, you know? So that's what we're doing. So, yeah. Question though. In chat, put a, I'm gonna ask, I'm gonna do a poll real quick. Oh wait, can I actually do like an actual poll? I think I can. Oh, I can create a poll. Okay, let me, hey Katie, yay, hi. Oh, I meant to text you back, but girl, my fucking morning was, I woke up like 2 hours ago. It's been a nightmare. Anyway, I'm gonna make a poll. Should we put on some Reddit stories in the background while we do this, or do you want me to just leave the music? We'll put up a poll. Okay. Okay, Reddit stories, yes or no? Okay. There we go. Yes! Oh my god, the packages got there. Did all of them get there? Please say yes. Please. I hope they all got there and they all arrived and stuff. Yeah. Is your fever down at all? Like, also, did you go to the doctor and have you found out if it's the flu or not? All right, no is winning. All right, interesting. You got 2 pink packages and 2 huge boxes. I think that's all of them. I think that's all of them. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all of them, which, nice. Oh, yes is winning. Oh shit, we're tied. Drama. Yay! Okay, good, yes, text me, spam me. That's fine, I will check them when I get off stream. It goes away and comes back. Yeah, that sounds like the flu. Definitely sounds like the flu, at least the flu that I've had in the past, which I didn't know fever dreams were a real thing. Apparently they are, which I mean makes sense. It wouldn't be a phrase that comes from nowhere, but at the same time, But at least you get a little bit of a break from it when it goes away. I've always found that it like goes away after, like, if I drink a bunch of water, eat some soup, fall asleep for a while, sweat it out for a bit, then I wake back up, and after I've like taken a shower or something, usually that's when it like will give me a momentary break, and then I repeat the cycle until I'm fine. It's yeah. Yeah, dude, I hate the sweat after the fever breaks. That's the fucking worst part. I hate feeling super sweaty because, like, I don't know about you, but I don't get sweaty very easily, even when I'm like working out. I have to like be intensely working out to get like sweaty. I just get like slightly warm. So like fever sweats, the worst. Fucking no. It's the worst. Yeah, dude. One time, oh my god, wait, story time. One time I was at home. How old was I? I had to be like 13, 14 maybe. And I was at home sick because I had the flu. I think I had the flu or a fever or something. Anyway, I was super out of it, and my parents were like, my mom was at work, and then my dad, he was like staying with me, but he like had to like run into town to get me food or something. I don't remember. But anyway, I was at home by myself, and I had like taken a nap, woke up to like my dad still being gone. So I don't think I was actually out that long. I think I was out for like 10 minutes. Anyway, I I fucking wake up, and I'm like wandering around the house trying to like find something to eat, I guess. And then I hear like, I don't remember if it was someone trying to like knock on the door or like rattle the handle. Something like, someone was like at the door, I guess. Which honestly, it was probably just like an animal or something in retrospect. But anyway, so I heard something at the door, and immediately my thought was just like, oh my god, someone's trying to break in. And also I was super like out of it and loopy, so I was like super paranoid, and so I went and hid in a closet next to our water heater, which is like a closet inside of a closet, so you like can't fucking find anything in there unless you like know to even look for it. It's like the best hiding spot. But anyway, I hid there. Only a child could fit there anyway. It's not like an actual person could fit there. It's a fucking tiny area. But I hid there until my dad got home, and he was just like, why are you in the closet? And I was just like, there was someone at the door, and he's just like, there was literally no one at the door. We have like cameras. There's no one at the door. Like there was no one at the door. It would have it definitely would have alerted. So that's why I think it was just an animal or something, because like they live out in the woods, so like there's coyotes and shit. But anyway. Yeah, I felt really silly after that. I was just like, oh, okay, it's fine. But yeah. Yeah. Huh? Hope I feel better. Pray to God it's what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not sick. Katie is sick. Also, it's not COVID. And also, why would you pray it's COVID? Are you okay? Do you need help? Because what the fuck are you talking about? Like, bro. There's hella animals out in the woods. But more so importantly, there's big animals out in the woods. So, you know. Yeah. But again, why would you hope it's COVID? Like, what? No. What? All right. I'm like, fuck, where'd my phone go? All right, I'm gonna, since yes seems to be winning, right? No, you're good, but why would you pray for it to be COVID? You don't want that. That's bad. Especially me and Katie. We have like shit immune systems. We would not, well, I mean, Katie already got it and she did not do good. Glad you got your sense of smell and taste back though. That's good. I think it's so funny. Me and Katie were talking about this, but it's so funny how now that COVID happened, people act like there's no other like illnesses, like colds, the flu, which we're currently in flu season. Just other general, you know, contagious diseases. It's so funny. Nice, Alec. I was talking to my mom yesterday. She said she did hers and she was like, yeah, it wasn't even as bad as like either the first two. Like that one was like so easy. She was like, she called me because she had just got it the day before, so she was like kind of, she said she was just super tired. Like she didn't even get sick or anything, which is good. So hopefully it gets better every time. No, I feel like the second one was worse for me. So I don't know. Right? That's good. Okay, well that makes me feel better. I'm hoping the boosters are not as bad. Hopefully Shark Week's over. Shark Week's over for me. I don't know if it is for Katie or not. Hers are usually worse than mine. I somehow get lucky. Oh yeah. By the way, did you know that you could do this on Procreate? You can swipe and get the layers if you're, you know, in a specific category or something. Like, let's go to eyebrows. See? Hair. Mouth. Mouth will have a lot of them. See? If you didn't know that that's a thing you can do, That is a thing you could do. It's so handy. Wait, it came back? What? What the fuck? I would sue. I would sue. No, girl, mine lasts like 3 days. And other than like the day leading up to it, and then the first 2 days are shit, but then the last day is fine, and then it's over. Which is great. But for 3 days, it's actually agony. It's the worst thing ever. Anyway. Let me find some Reddit stories. Let's find Mr. Reddit, since, you know. Okay. Let me find a long one. Ah, yes. Oh, did he change his name to Mr. Redder? Why? Okay. Whatever. Alright, this one was... Let me get the link for it. And then... did he change his name? No, shut up. Let me post link in chat. There you go. Now I will play it.
Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another
Mr.
episode
Redder.
of r/Entitled
Why?
People Stories. Today we have a very special episode for you. A compilation of some of the best entitled people
How does
stories
that? I'll
we
turn the
read
music
over
off.
the past year. So sit back, relax, and enjoy a few hours of the most entitled people you've ever heard of.
How does that sound?
And by the way, Karen assured me that for every thumbs up this video gets, she won't try to get anyone fired.
Can you
for
hear
an
me
entire
over it?
week. So please smash that like button.
No, you're
And
good.
subscribe
You're
and
good.
Turn on notifications.
It's not
for
like
new
that.
stories from Reddit
Anything that exciting is
every
happening.
single day.
I don't know why he changed his
Karen
name.
was
Mr.
used
Reddit
for
was so
child
good.
support, knowing that I'm not the father. I, 27 male, used to live in a crappy apartment building. I had a neighbor right next to me called Sarah, approximately 24, female, who had a 6-year-old
Let me
son,
not try to
Mark.
get fancy with my
I
pen
had lived there
skills.
for
Like,
3
don't
years
have any.
and moved out about 2 months ago.
Okay, let's
My
see.
grandfather passed away and left most of his money in possessions
Let's
to
start
me
with
and
the
my
eyes.
sisters. It wasn't much after taxes, but I was able to use it as a deposit on an apartment. Sarah and her son moved in about 4 to 5 months after I did, and although she didn't talk about it, I got the feeling that her ex hadn't been the greatest. Police would come around occasionally to check if she was okay. The kid was scared stiff of loud noises and yelling, etc. I worked from home, data analyst, so I was around a lot. Mark used to go to a preschool while she worked, and then after he started school, he was supposed to go to an after-school thing. Sarah works 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. as a nurse aide. Problem is that back in March of last year, his after-school thing closed, and then a couple months later, his school shifted all their learning online, while his mom only got busier because of what was going on. I kept seeing him playing outside by the road, or hanging off the balcony, and was a bit worried for his safety. So I started offering him hot chocolate and keeping an eye on him. About a week later,
I'm looking up
Sarah
references.
came by and
Please
offered me
ignore.
$20. She was very apologetic and explained that her parents disowned her and she couldn't afford a full-time
I don't know
nanny
what
for him,
kind of
but
shading
also
on it
couldn't
do
afford to quit her
this.
job to keep an eye
I'm gonna
on
look
him,
up
which was
Chibi.
basically her only other option. My older sister
Chibi
is a
eyes.
nurse, and I'd seen her looking shattered and with bruises
not
on her
wanting to
face from
draw
her
them,
masks.
bitches.
So
How are you
I felt
shading
really
them?
bad for them and offered to keep
Ah,
an eye
yes,
on Mark
okay.
while she worked, since I was at home anyway, and he's a cool kid. Long story short, I told Sarah in
shading.
October I was moving out,
Where?
and she was distraught about what she'd do with Mark. Schools
these
and
are cute.
daycare still haven't reopened here yet. I offered for her to drop him off at my new place while she was working as a temporary solution during lockdown. This had been working for the past couple of months until I received a letter from a lawyer basically informing me that Sarah
yes.
was filing for child support
Okay.
against me as I had taken a paternal figure in Mark's life. I immediately called Sarah and told her to come get Mark. We had a massive fight because basically she thinks I can afford it, so why shouldn't I pay it? After she picked him up, I blocked her number and contacted a lawyer who told me that I would probably be fine as I'm not his dad, and I never
Put
offered to
reference on
take
the
care of
side
him in
here.
any financial way. Sarah has been
It's
in touch
that
with my
one
sisters,
picture.
who
Have
think
you?
that I'm
It's like
doing
such
the
a
right
popular
thing by
photo.
not paying
I've seen it so many times, like floating around on like Tumblr, Pinterest.
I feel like crap since he's probably being stuck in those
the one
blocks again.
of
But I
like.
also don't want to risk a court case. Am I the jerk for refusing to look after him while she works? Tiny update.
It's
Thank you all for your lovely
the
messages.
one that's got like just a shit ton of different like.
That keeps popping up. But I'm trying to read all of them.
Save it and show you.
I've said this a few times.
I don't know who the artist is though. I actually really want to find out who the artist is because I always fucking see this fucking picture.
I haven't had an update from
I'm gonna
them,
use this
but
as a
I will
reference.
post here
This
if
is
I
my
hear
reference.
anything. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or
Don't
Sarah
be ashamed
for
to
trying
use
get child
references,
support from
boys.
him? Please let us know.
References are very
She'll trap
handy.
somebody eventually,
Did you
but
know
not today.
that fuck, I can't remember his name.
Karen really wants
The guy
her
who
10
draws
cents.
Garfield.
Once a week, usually.
He looks
I will
up
stop by
pictures
the
of
local
Garfield
coffee shop and pick up
when
a
he
drink
draws
and a donut
Garfield
on the way to
as a
work.
reference.
I
He
make
just
my own
Googles
most
Garfield.
days, but
So
this is my treat day.
no shame.
The one near
Anyway.
my work is right off of a major highway, so it's always busy. And with lockdown restrictions, most time I end up waiting outside because of the lineup. Today was no different.
You.
There was
Thank
about
you,
10 people
Alejandro.
in line, and I got in line behind entitled Mom. She got in line just before I did, but I could hear her already start as soon as she got there. Oh my god, this place is so slow. Why do I have to wait outside? I have my headphones on, so even though I can hear her
Shit, I wasn't listening
complaining,
to
I can
Mr.
easily
Reddit.
ignore her. It took a good 5 to 10 minutes until we were even in the store, and she was complaining the whole time. My kids are in the car getting cold. Why do they only have one person at the counter and 5 on drive-thru? I don't have time for this. I put my 2 years in working at a coffee shop, so I understand things can get busy. And yeah, they should probably put more people on the counter. But what are they going to do? Grow a new person in the back? They only have so
What is
many
happening
people
with this?
working.
What brush am I using
When we
right now?
finally
What's
got in,
happening?
we can see the counter girl running around as fast as she could.
Why did I not
She
check that?
definitely wasn't lollygagging or anything. But still,
Not
entitled mom
lollygagging?
loudly kept complaining. There was no way the worker girl didn't hear her. Another 5 minutes,
Okay,
and it was entitled Mom's turn to order. She started with a, ugh, finally. Then she ordered a drink and a couple of sandwiches. It came to $9.90 altogether. Entitled Mom gave the girl a $10
Okay.
bill, and then stuck her hand out for her
Start
change.
with
I want my 10 cents back, please.
right
You
at the
don't
bottom,
deserve
I
it.
think.
The girl just sighed, gave her
And
her change,
then-
then made her coffee. She
I'm
took
gonna
it without
do
even a
dark.
thank you, and went to the sandwich
we're
area
gonna
to
do
wait
this
for her
blue up
sandwich.
here.
My turn. I ordered my coffee and donut. Came to about $3, but as luck would have it, I had a free coffee today, so it was only $1. Normally, I don't carry much cash, but I will pay with just my debit and throw them a quarter or two if I have it. But today,
Oh, shit,
I
I
happen to
shouldn't-
have
I shouldn't-
$5
hold on, I need to turn this
As a
off.
father of 2, this
Hold on.
surprised even me. So I handed it to her, and when she tried to give me the $4 change, I, loud enough so entitled Mom could hear, said, "No thanks, you work hard, you keep it." The girl smiled and said, "Thanks." Entitled Mom looked over at me like she had just smelt a fart or something. When I opened the bag at work, there was a second donut in the
Okay.
bag. Never tasted so good. Hopefully, entitled Mom learned. She got her dime, but I got the extra donut. Speaking of donuts, what are your favorite kind of donuts to eat? Please let us know. Jelly-filled all day, bruh. Yes. Am I the jerk for calling my wife
Actually,
a
I agree.
helicopter
Jellyfield are
mom?
pretty fucking
My
flowers,
son
I'm not
James
gonna lie.
just turned 16
My
this
favorite,
month,
though-
and he decided he wanted to start working a part-time job.
Just a
to have some
plain
extra spending money and to start saving
glazed
up.
Krispy
He
Kreme
hasn't had much
donut,
luck.
like
I
holy
doubt many
fucking.
places are interested in hiring a
Oh,
team with
actually,
limited hours to work.
no.
James
There's
started to get annoyed
a
with
kind
my
of
wife
donut
after
that's
he
like
found out she
covered.
submitted a
It's
few
like
applications for
it's
him.
like a long
We had
square
a whole talk
donut.
about that and reminded her
That's
that
like-
James wants to do this job
like a
hunting
big
on his
rectangle.
own. Over a week
And,
ago, James applied at this local
but it's like a
clothing store
square
he likes to shop
rectangle.
at since he's familiar with the place.
I don't remember what that
He
shape
was
is
told
called.
the
I haven't
usual
been in
line
geometry
when
in a
he
while.
spoke
Leave
to
me
the
alone.
hiring manager.
Anyway,
We'll review your
it's covered. It's like
application and give you a
glazed,
call.
and then they
He was
cover it with
really hoping to get this
coconuts
one,
and
but after a
almonds.
week,
That's been
he
like
figured they were not
candied.
gonna go.
Oh my god,
Earlier when I got
bitch!
home, there was some
Just
tension.
the entire thing
James
is
was locked in his
crusted
room, and my wife seemed
in
upset.
glazed
I
coconut
spoke to
and
him
almonds.
first,
Oh
and he
my
told me
god,
that my
it's literally
wife
the best
called the
fucking
store
donut ever.
earlier and berated the hiring manager for giving my
Ooh,
son
Boston cream so
false
fucking
hope. And
Or just
lied
like
to
a
him about
chocolate
giving him a
glazed.
call when they clearly weren't going to.
So yummy.
James heard the call from upstairs because she was yelling, and when he confronted my wife,
The only one I
she
like
said
from
she was just
Krispy
angry
Kreme
on his
is
behalf.
just the
That
glazed
they
one.
should have
Otherwise,
called
I
him
want like a
anyways to
homemade
let him know
donut,
that he didn't
bitch.
get the job.
I've been
But
spoiled
obviously,
with too
they
many
are
good
only going to
donuts
call
because my
applicants they
aunt is a
actually
baker
plan to
and she can
hire.
make donuts.
He's angry at my wife right now for interfering, and now he's
Okay,
going to be
let's
too
see.
embarrassed to go to that store again since they know who he is. I also confronted my wife, and she kept saying she was only looking out for him. However good her intentions were, I told her she needed to stop being a helicopter mom here, or she could ruin opportunities for him by interfering. My wife went to our room and shut the door. James wants an apology from her for embarrassing him. My wife says she did nothing wrong and is mad at me for calling her that. She said I was the one being a jerk for not caring if our son finds a job, and it's not fair for me to criticize her when she at least gives a darn. With the way she's being right now, I have to ask if maybe I went too far and was a jerk for calling her a helicopter mom. Well, who do you agree with? OP
I mean, on one hand,
please let us know.
It's good to help your kids. On the other hand, they need to figure shit out for themselves. So there's a balance, you know.
Rude customer forced to apologize to me. So this is a story from my first job ever.
I want a donut
For some
now,
backstory,
too.
I worked at a department store for 3 years and was working in the lawn and garden tools section of the store. It took me some time to get used to it, and learning about the specs for the merchandise was a bit of a pain. But I managed with the help from coworkers, and they are awesome. I miss them like crazy since I left, but I do contact them from time to time. Story time.
Since it's the Chibi, I thought we could have more fun with the eyes.
A pretty big snowstorm was about to hit the next few days, so we had a lot of people in the store wanting snow throwers, shovels, etc.
Snow
Outside
throwers.
the store chained up.
I've never
were
heard
some
someone call it that.
Used snow throwers at a lower price, but they make us some decent commission. More if a protection plan was added. This guy comes in, and since I wasn't with anyone at the moment, our cashier directed him to me for help. He comes up to me asking if I could help with a snow thrower outside, and I said sure. Jerk, as to what I'll refer to him by now going forward, started out decent in the beginning and was somewhat impressed that I knew better ways to take care of the snow thrower. Thank you, V, not using his full name. Those extra details helped a lot. Jerk said he needed to check something else in the store, but told me he'd come back to me when he was finished for the sale.
Puppy on my door
I
right
said
now.
sure thing and placed a sold sign on it. About 15 minutes later, he comes back and asks for me to finish the sale. I rang him up with no protection plan since I got this a lot. My friend is a mechanic. Didn't hurt my numbers much since I had sold a much more expensive model with a 3-year plan. The sale is done and I go with him to unlock it since it was chained and had a security tag on it. And he asks if I can get a wrench to loosen the bolts. We go inside and this is when he went from kind to a jerk. Jerk. So, what about its horsepower?
Okay.
How much does it have? Me. Snow throwers don't go by horsepower. They go by CC. Jerk. But do you know the conversion? No.
How much
not
horsepower?
really. So you don't know much else about the machine then? Just the basics and a bit more of how to maintain it? Me. Now, knowing where this is going, but trying to stay polite. Sorry, but when it comes to more details like what you're asking me, I don't really know much else. This dude didn't go livid or anything like that, but was annoyed. He started insulting my knowledge, calling me an idiot, and then said the company hired me because they were sorry for me. I normally am a very patient person, not wanting to argue unless I have to, and I've never been in an actual fight, but I can hold my own if need be. Almost was in one though, but that was before I worked there, and that would be another story if I ever remember the details.
Okay, I think that's
Also,
it.
I was hired there because my older brother worked for them also as a store manager. So there was a reputation with our name at the store.
What do you think?
Him being a store manager, and me being one of the top sellers
Oh, it
for the
looks
department.
cute. Yeah,
The
I like
manager who
it.
hired me didn't know we were brothers.
I
until
like
he
that
saw
I
our
can
last
look at
name.
the screen
And this
so I
was
can see it
after he
from a
said I was
distance.
hired. Anyway, I was done with this guy, and I told him also. I went back inside with him demanding the wrench to loosen the bolts, but I told him no, and tossed it back into our toolbox. He was annoyed and demanded a manager, which the cashier called to get him to shut up, and out of the store. Another coworker went with the wrench and loosened it for him. About 5 minutes later, my managers come to the front of the store and ask Jerk what was wrong, and he told them. However, my coworkers heard the insults and told the manager what he said. They called me over the PA system as I was away from the checkout and away from him. I went over, and this is what I came back to. Manager 1. You need to apologize to my associate right now. How dare you insult him when he's been nothing but kind and patient to you? We don't take kindly to customers being rude to them. Jerk. Not very serious. Sorry. Me. Apology accepted. Manager 2. Good. Now you may leave. We are done dealing with you. The guy left shaking his head, and I thought he was muttering to himself, but I didn't care anymore. My managers came up to me and said to not worry about him and that it was a smart idea to get away from him in case the situation escalated. They knew that I have a lot of patience, but even I have my limits. We spoke for a few minutes, so I could just get that jerk out of my mind. And my floor manager, who was a nice Jamaican older woman, and the one who mainly spoke to jerk, said, "I hope that thing breaks while he's using it. He didn't buy a plan, right?" I shake my head, and she said, "Good, because I don't want him here or the repair center at all." I had a smile on my face for the rest of the shift. That remains my favorite moment of my life to this day. I currently work in a supermarket since I didn't return to the sporting goods store because of lockdown, and my manager there is pretty chill also. And I told him the story, and he said he'd do the same if that ever happened. I had a smug smile the whole time typing this out. Edit. It was a 2-stage snowblower. For some reason, I've just been calling them snow throwers, despite the subtle differences even a little before I left the company, due to work becoming scarce. And with the horsepower part,
they're all
the
snow
snowblower was
blowers.
about 160 cc.
Snow throwers, not a thing as far as I'm aware. Like, what are you talking about?
Someone thought I was a charity worker, then tried to have me arrested. I ran a charitable event for my work around this time last year. We usually put on a carnival to raise money for charity and raise awareness of our company, / establish ourselves in the community, / attract customers. But all the money goes to charity. So I stood up at the carnival and gave a big speech about the importance of the charity and how the cause was personal to me and my family. It funded cerebral palsy research that particular year, and my father lives with it. I was very visible throughout the whole event, sharing my story and raising money and running carnival booths, etc. Fast forward to a couple months ago, I bumped into someone while in line to get coffee who said they had met me at that event last year. We ended up starting a pleasant conversation, so sat outside to drink our coffee together. In hindsight, she seemed a little off, a little tightly wound, but it didn't register over such a brief encounter. She mentioned how she had been so glad to see a large-scale cerebral palsy charity event and hadn't seen us do any events since. I had started to explain the yearly nature of the carnival and how we pick different charities, but she, unintentionally, cut me off, caught up in her own emotions as she began to recount a moving story about a sibling who suffered from the condition. I was telling her how terrible that was and how I completely understood, in reference to my own experiences. Before I could really get into talking about my own story, she checked the clock and said she didn't realize how much time had passed and she needed to go, but she appreciated the work I did and my support listening to her, etc. She began fumbling in her purse for her keys. Then, as she was leaving, she said, "And here's a little something to support your work," producing something folded in a napkin from her purse and leaving it at the side. I'm an interior designer, so I had no idea what she could be talking about in terms of supporting my work, but we were seated just by the street parking, so she was gone too quickly for me to ask. I unfolded the napkin, and to my shock, she had slipped $100 into the napkin. I was dumbfounded with confusion as to why this perfect stranger would give me any money to support my work and commercial interior design without getting anything designed in exchange. It took me a while to figure it out, but I eventually realized she must have come to the carnival and assumed the charity itself had put on the event, so thought I worked for them, not an interior designer firm.
Fucking duh. What do you mean?
So it was far too late to try and catch up to her. And all
what do you
fucking
mean? Look how scary she
looks.
So
I didn't know where she worked. So without any hope of tracking her down, I figured the best thing to do would be to just donate the money to the charity. I did, and that was that.
I'm a snow thrower when I shovel.
Somehow or another, this woman came to realize I didn't work for the
charity. It does sound like a job and not a machine. I agree.
In the for-profit sector. I think it's because I was featured in an online ad the firm's been running. She left a message on my work phone, half angry, half embarrassed, saying she was willing to forego holding me accountable if I paid her back in full. Problem is, I didn't have the money anymore. I donated it. I explained this to her, but she wanted proof. I left her a message. She didn't pick up when I called, explaining the company ran a carnival event to raise money for the charity, but that we aren't the charity ourselves, and that I absolutely did donate her money to the charity so she could rest assured. I didn't hear anything back for about 3 days. On the 4th day after I'd left the message, the police show up to our firm's headquarters. We're almost all working remotely because of lockdown, so they unduly terrified our teenage receptionist. I was also scared half to death, because I had to leave a serious meeting with my boss in which she asked if I had misrepresented myself as a charitable worker and collected donations in a personal capacity because of the claims this woman made to our business. When I explained, my boss blew her off, and that's when she got the police involved. This woman called and said we were masquerading as a charity, scamming people out of money. So the police came to confirm we were operating a legitimate business. They saw nothing out of the ordinary, obviously, and that was that. Or so we thought. Fast forward to a week later. My boss got a letter from a lawyer. I don't know exactly what it said, but it accused us of scamming this woman and demanding her money be returned. I wish I could have just provided proof of the donation, but I have thousands of emails. I delete most of them, and I could not for the life of me find the confirmation email that reflected my donation. So instead, my boss made another $100 donation to the charity and took a screenshot and sent it to the lawyer. We haven't heard from her, the lawyer, since, so I don't think she was wild about representing this woman in the first place. We have still gotten a couple wild phone calls from the woman, saying that since the date on the $100 donation is so recent, it means we still had the money, and we should have returned it to her when she asked. Why, if she wanted to donate it to the charity anyways? My boss explaining we donated it the first time, and this was the second donation to assuage her concerns, has not helped.
Okay, now that's a little better looking.
Worst part is, due to lockdown, we aren't having a carnival this year, so she'll be even more convinced we were making the whole thing up. Am I the jerk for telling my coworker that kids aren't an excuse? She needs to do her darn job? Background. I have about 14 colleagues and a boss. Of the 16 of us, only 3 of them do not have kids. I am one of the ones that do. I have 3 of them. I'm also a single mom. The issue. One of my coworkers with a kid definitely plays the mom card. I usually hate using that term, as crap comes up when you have kids. But she uses this as to why she could never come in on time, why she needs to leave early, why she's always so preoccupied with her phone, why she can't focus on what she's doing, so then she messes up and we have to fix her mistakes, etc.
Sounds like her kid is 9 years old,
in school all day, not even doing virtual learning, but in school. He's a neurotypical kid with no health issues.
Okay, how are we feeling about the eyes?
About 80% of us have kids. We all still show up and do our job. And honestly, the excuse
no top lashes is super creepy looking.
Especially about coming in early and late, because her husband doesn't work, so he can take care of their son. Our boss defends her and refuses to do anything about her negligence. I do blame our boss more, because she just allows it to happen. But I do think my coworker needs to step up while we're at work. I have tried talking to her nicely. She says she'll do better and never does. I've asked if she needs help with something, offering support, and she says she's fine. I also went to HR, and they did diddly squat, except have a meeting telling us we all need to pull our weight. Nothing changed. The other day, she did us over again. She was on her phone, like she is most of the day, and wasn't giving it her all. It was a huge mistake that nearly cost us a client, and it's one that she's made several times before. I admit, I wasn't nice with her about this. I didn't yell, but my tone was clipped, and I told her that she needs to put the dang phone away and actually pay attention to what she's doing. She got in a tizzy, saying that she was texting her husband about their son, and she didn't mean to. She's sorry, etc. I said it wasn't okay, and she needs to just focus.
Too much.
She then tried saying, I have a kid. My mind is in 2 places. I told her I have 3 kids that all go to different schools. I am here every morning on time. I stay until it's time to go. I may have to take a call from my kids occasionally. I get you think about your kids all the time, but I also manage to do my job. This excuse just doesn't fly anymore. Do your dang job. She quickly went about fixing her mistake, and I walked away. She didn't go to HR or our boss over it, but someone else who overheard it did. I was severely reprimanded for this, saying that it's not my job to have talked with her this way. I said maybe not, but the people whose job it was weren't doing anything. I didn't get a formal write-up, but things are tense. Some of my coworkers think I did the right thing. Others think I should have documented it with HR and let it go. I'm torn. Am I the jerk? Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her coworker? Please let us know.
I don't know.
Sounds like OP needs to start her own business. There's nothing worse than having a boss that doesn't hold slackers accountable. Texas freeze compliance. Neighbor gets the cold shoulder. My wife and I moved into our first rent house.
You probably could have done it in a better way, but at the same time, HR should be fucking handling it.
Finally had the budget to afford to rent a house. We were excited, as we have always had a problem with bad neighbors. Not for not trying. We've always tried to be polite and normally keep to ourselves. We met one of our first neighbors a few days ago after moving in, and at first, she seemed pretty nice. She talked to us over the back fence on a semi-regular basis, and my wife loved her dogs. The neighbor runs a foster home for dogs, and my wife loves all animals. Now, let's talk about these dogs for a second, because they are a very big reason that led to the current and still ongoing malicious compliance. These dogs can come and go as they please. They have a large doggy door that they have access to at any time. Sometimes, though, she will let them outside while she goes to run errands and goes to work and close the doggy door off while she is gone. One of these dogs in particular happens to be her personal dog. This is not a foster, and because of that, it will never go to another home. This dog, for no particular reason, will stare through the chain link fence at our window for literal hours on end and bark constantly. Normally at a rate of about 1 to 2 barks per second, presumably only taking a break to avoid hyperventilating. I spoke to neighbors about this dog, and it did the same thing in the same spot before we moved here too. Now, remember how I said she lets the dogs out and leaves them out while she's at work? She works nights. This dog will stand outside our window and bark endlessly most nights. The latest that we've experienced this was 1:30 a.m. After a month or two of this, we got fed up and decided to talk to the neighbor about the dog. We had barely started the conversation when she scoffed and said, "There is nothing I can do." She then quickly retreated back inside. Oddly enough, we've gotten used to the noise as it's now late February, and we chose not to bother her about it again. My wife and I aren't a fan of conflict. However, ever since then, she refuses to even acknowledge we exist. I try to say hi occasionally if I catch her when she comes home, and she just flat out ignores it. I ask her how her day is going when she lets her dogs out back. Still nothing. She just goes back inside and shuts the door. As you know, Texas had a bit of a deep freeze situation happen recently. Surprise, I live in Texas. Well, we live in a small town, so when things like that happen here, the whole town basically shuts down. In Texas, this doesn't happen often, and when it does, it is normally for a day or two, and then it all melts away and the town reopens. This time was different. The town went 7 days, not only to shut down, but with no power. My wife and I had ordered some dog food to be delivered the Thursday before and didn't realize how bad things were going to be. By Tuesday, we were completely out of dog food and there was nowhere to go buy any as all the stores were closed. Then I thought of the neighbor. Surely she can look past our differences, whatever they are, and help out a neighbor in need during an emergency.
Oh, really?
Right? I went over to her house with the intention of asking for a few days worth of dog food. I was going to offer to pay for it and even had cash in my wallet to do so. I had just seen her outside an hour before, and when I walked up to the door, I could hear the TV going in the living room. I knocked on the door, and the dog started barking inside. The TV kept going, and there was no response. I waited a reasonable amount of time so as to not be rude, and then knocked again. This time, the TV turned off, and the dogs were once again barking. I heard her in a stern but hushed voice telling her dogs to quiet down. She peeked through the curtains where she thought I couldn't see her, and after about 2 more knocks, I gave up and left. After this, I went to another neighbor who happily donated some dog food and even refused to let me pay for it. I was still pretty miffed about the whole ordeal, but again, I'm not much for confrontation,
I'm happy with the eyes.
So I wasn't really planning on doing anything about it.
Happy with the eyes.
Until all the ice started to melt, and I came to a startling realization.
I know.
My impromptu revenge. I remembered a conversation I had with her right after I moved here about how I am a contractor and I do a lot of residential renovation, in which she delightfully told me that she may have to get me to do some work on her house sometime because, and I quote, "I don't really even know how to swing a hammer properly. I am sure there's a lot wrong with this house, but I don't really know what I'm looking for to find out what needs to be fixed." This is important because after all the snow and ice had melted away and things started to dry up, I noticed a significant, but relatively unassuming, volume of water flowing down her driveway from her garage. In this part of Texas, and during the era the houses in this neighborhood were built, it is common for your water heater to be located in your garage. It was pretty apparent that a line going to or coming from her water heater had burst during the cold snap. Now, she doesn't park in her garage, and instead uses it for storage. The few times I've seen the garage door open, it had boxes stacked floor to ceiling and wall to wall. There's no way she ever goes into her garage unless it's to get something, and if she did, she would open the garage door to do it. I decided that since I'm not a fan of confrontation, and she apparently didn't want to hear from me anyway, that it would be her desire for me to not mention it to her. It has been over a week since everything melted, and the water is still flowing. It's roughly the volume of water that you would find coming out of your kitchen sink when you turn it about halfway on. I presume she doesn't know, since she hasn't had the water turned off yet. There may have been no contractors over there yet, and she has continued to go to and from work at night and stay inside most of the day. I would imagine she has quite a bit of sheetrock damage, potential rot, and mold problems. Anything in the bottom layer of boxes on the garage floor is likely very ruined, and she's racking up one heck of a water bill. But, you know, I don't feel inclined to tell her, and if she works up the courage to come over and ask for help when she realizes what is happening, I'll be sure to turn the TV down, wave from the window, and let her know there's nothing I can do. At least I have one considerate neighbor, though.
Okay.
Am I the jerk for taking my violin back from my sister after she broke my laptop and couldn't pay? She couldn't do her band concert. I'm 22 and went home to visit family a few days ago. I brought my laptop, and when I was home, my 17-year-old sister broke the screen by coming into my room when I was out, which I hadn't wanted her to do anyway, tripping over a chair leg and knocking the laptop off my desk to the ground. Okay. I found out it would be $400 to have it fixed, and I asked my sister for the money. She babysits and does other work.
Sounds like it's a bit of an accident.
She said she needed the money for college and couldn't give me her savings. So I asked my parents if they had asked for her money, and they said no, it was a mistake.
If listening to Reddit stories makes you feel that bad, you need therapy, my guy.
And bought a nice one for myself with money I'd made at a summer job, and decided to sell it to pay for the laptop screen. I'm on a tighter budget and didn't want to be out that money. I didn't tell my sister I was selling the violin because I didn't want the fight.
Bitch, you can't just sell her shit. No.
Asking where the violin was, and I said I'd sold it to pay for my laptop.
You can't fucking do that.
Fixed. They were mad because she had a virtual band concert with her high school band that night, and the violin was missing with no warning.
Yeah,
they were accusing me of stealing,
bro.
And I said that it wasn't stealing because I owned the violin and was just lending it. Plus, I wouldn't have had to sell it if my sister or my parents had paid to fix my laptop. But they're really mad.
Just
because
tell
band
her
is something my sister was having
if you
on her
own it
admissions,
and you're gonna take
and now
it back
have an instrument, so she can't
after you've
participate.
loaned it. Like those
She's
things
missing
are not
several
correlated.
events, and my parents said I was
Yes, she
sabotaging
broke
her
your
college
laptop.
admissions.
She should pay
I said
for
it
it.
wasn't
That doesn't
about
mean that
It
you
was
get to
literally just me
enact
needing money,
revenge
and the
because
violin was a
you want
convenient thing of mine
to make her
sell.
feel bad.
Am I the
Like,
jerk for selling the violin?
that's the
I was
reason.
lending my sister to pay for a
That's
fix
the
to my
reason you did
laptop
it. Let's
when
be
she
real.
broke it?
Come on.
Entitled Mom thinks our fresh milk is too expensive. Wants to buy calf instead. After reading and listening to stories from this subreddit for over a year now, I have dreamed of the day I would encounter a Karen or entitled parent in the wild. Never expecting it to ever happen. But today was the day, and boy, what an encounter it was. So, for a little bit of background, my grandma works on a medium-sized dairy farm as kind of a manager, and I, 18 female, help her out from time to time. We have a thing called milk filling station. It's basically a vending machine where you can buy fresh milk from us, and it's €1 per liter. We're located on a hill a little outside a small village and surrounded by meadows and forests, so we do get some hikers or families on a nice walk from time to time, especially on the weekends, and they usually look at the calves and buy some milk. One shift here usually includes 4 people. Everyone has different jobs to fulfill, so most of the time you're alone just doing your task, and my job is essential for the milking process, as it includes bringing the cows to the milking station and back to their herds. And now on to the actual story. As I've mentioned, I'm alone most of the time, just doing my thing, running around inside the farm. It's a restricted area. We have signs up since it can be quite dangerous, but the gates are open to make work easier and for ventilation, so theoretically everyone could walk in. Still, I was kind of surprised when I, in the midst of literally shoveling cow dew, was met with a rather annoyed ahem behind me. I turned around, shovel still in hand, and saw a woman maybe in her mid-30s standing before me, way too overdressed to be seen anywhere near a farm. She also didn't look like she was on a casual walk with her family. At least I wouldn't do one in the high heels she was wearing. She was looking at me rather angrily, and I immediately knew that this probably was the day I'd been waiting for. Although I never
Also, I feel like we've heard the story.
Here, of all places.
Did we hear this?
Before I could even so much as open my mouth, she already started speaking in a very condescending tone to me. Finally, I've been looking for someone to help me for ages.
Sorry.
Why are none of you doing your job and being there when you're needed? I was instantly annoyed with this woman, because how dare she come in here and talk to me like that? And also, what job was she referring to? Because I, for one, was doing mine right at this moment, and it was strictly timed. I had to get stuff done with zero time to listen to this lady. Still, I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt and be nice. Sorry, if you're referring to the office in the front, there usually is no one since we're all in here.
Bubbles, are you trying to just cause drama?
Maybe I can
Is that
help.
what you're doing?
I thought
Do you
that
cause
maybe
drama?
she's
Yeah?
had a flat tire or something around here and needed help.
Menace.
Because I legitimately had no idea what someone dressed like her could want on a dairy farm. She just scoffed at me.
Oops, wait.
Unbelievable. You should be over there in case someone needs your help like I do. Anyways, your milk is too expensive. Me. I'm sorry. What? I said, your milk is too expensive. I want a better price. She was saying every word slowly and loudly, as if she thought I was disabled. Me. Oh, you're talking about the vending machine. I'm sorry, but that's a fixed price. I can't change that. And in my opinion, she cut me off. I didn't ask for your opinion. It's way cheaper at the supermarket. But my daughter wanted to try fresh milk, so we drove here.
I don't, but I have a pumpkin pie for them.
Or you won't sell much. Hey, ma'am, we're not a supermarket. We're selling the leftover fresh milk so it doesn't go to waste. She cuts me off again. What? That's leftover milk? Ew. And to imagine my daughter could have drank that. Now, for clarification, when I said leftover milk, I meant that it was fresh milk, as in barely out of the cow fresh, that we weren't able to sell to the company which collects our milk because they have fixed numbers, and if we produce more milk than those numbers, we would have to throw it away. But with the vending machine, at least some of it still gets sold.
Eyebrows.
If you want fresher milk than that,
oh wait, no, let's do the
milk
rest of the eyelashes.
Right into the
what
bottle.
we should do.
I started to try and explain this to the mom, but she immediately cut me off again.
Redo those.
No, this is unacceptable. Neither me nor my child will drink old milk. And then the dreaded sentence came. I want to speak to your manager. I already had enough of this BS, pun intended. And as I've already said, a strictly timed job that I had to get back to. Because we were in the middle of milking our cows, and this lady was literally holding up the whole process by holding up me. So I was more than happy to agree and get her to my manager, my grandma, and have her out of my hair. I just motioned for her to follow me and speed walked in the direction of the front office, while the lady was trying to keep up in her high heels without breaking her ankles. Now, our office is in kind of another building, and the door closest to us was locked. So we had to walk around the building, across the parking lot for the workers, and through another entrance that happened to be right beside the boxes we kept the newborn calves in. This also was the place where I met the before-mentioned daughter of entitled mom. The girl was maybe 10 years old and happily watching the calves and petting them when we came into view. As soon as she saw her mom, she ran to her and started excitingly jumping up and down. Entitled girl. Mom, look at the cute calves. She dragged her mom over to the boxes. Entitled girl. Look, it's so cute. I named her Emma. Can we keep her, please? I expected the entitled mom to maybe say something along the lines of, a cow is not a pet, or we don't have the space, or maybe I don't know how to take care of a cow. But boy, was I wrong. Instead, the mom turns to me and asks completely serious, how much are these? Now, although we do sell our male calves since they are of no use to us, I for one wasn't sure how much exactly this calf was worth. Pretty sure that there was a registration process involved in owning a cow, and in no way, shape, or form authorized to just sell a calf like that. And on top of that, cows aren't exactly animals you can just put in your yard and be done with. Me. I'm sorry, but I was cut off again. No, I asked how much it is. Tell me. Me. Ma'am, that's a cow, not a pet. I know, but your milk is way too expensive anyways. Just sell me one of those if my daughter wants it, and we will have our own, really fresh milk. At this point, I strongly considered just walking away because there was no way this woman could be serious. She wanted to buy an animal that would grow up to be huge, heavy, and strong enough to hurt you if you handled them wrong. Not only that, but also a cow of a breed that needs to be milked twice a day because it produces as much milk as possible, which is around 30 to 50 liters at our farm. All that because €1 per liter for fresh milk apparently was too much, and her daughter thought our calves were cute. They are, but that's not the point. Plus, you need to properly take care of them, feed them right, and just getting a calf won't give you instant milk. She has to grow up, get pregnant, give birth, etc. All around, this entitled mom would have to wait another 24 to 28 months until her calf starts giving milk, and then repeat the process every year. So she would have new calves to take care of every year just to keep her one cow running, so to speak. Instead of telling her directly how stupid, time and money consuming this idea is, I decided to try and take the more diplomatic way. Me.
Oh, wait, hold
Ma'am,
on.
I understand, but it's not that easy. I'm afraid I'm not able. Then get me someone who's able. I want to speak to your manager anyways. Why do you have to be such an incompetent worker? How old are you? 15? Kids shouldn't talk back to adults. That's where I had it. And so I just blurted out the best thing I could think of at the time.
Is that close enough?
I am an adult, and you should stop talking to me like that. I'm not obligated to help you. And in fact, we could sue you for trespassing on private property. How dare you threaten me, young lady? That is no way to talk to a person older than you. Learn some respect. I demand to speak to your manager. I will get you fired for this. As if she was called, my grandma stepped out of the building right at that moment, probably because she heard the commotion. Grandma, what's going on here? Entitled mom.
There we go. Haha.
The manager of this place. Grandma, at the moment, yes. How can I help
you?
Looks Entitled good. Mom. This worker of yours was incredibly rude. She threatened me and my daughter and refused to help us. She even tried to assault me right before you came outside.
Okay, now we can do the bottoms. I don't know
what would have happened if you hadn't been on time. Entitled mom was trying to squeeze some fake tears out at this point, quickly swiping them away with her finger before they could ruin her very thick layer of makeup. Entitled mom. All we wanted was to ask if we could get the milk you are selling a little cheaper. And my daughter here really likes this calf over there, so we thought about buying it. My grandma was just silently listening to this woman's story, arms crossed and an eyebrow raised, because she could smell the BS from 3 miles away. Grandma, ma'am, this is my granddaughter you're talking about, and I know for a fact that she wouldn't do any of that. Entitled mom went awfully quiet at that.
Wait, hold on,
Grandma,
what am I doing? I should just
about the
do
milk,
this.
I maybe would have helped you out if you hadn't just lied to my face.
Okay.
But now I kindly ask you to just pay the full price as everyone else does. And the calf, I'm afraid I won't be able to sell it to you. Entitled mom. This is outrageous. I'm a paying customer. I would pay for this calf. Why are you refusing? My daughter wants a cow, and she likes this one there. Entitled girl. Her name is Emma. Grandma, ma'am, that won't give you a cow. It will give you a bull. It's a male calf. Entitled mom, you're lying. You just don't want to sell it because it's pretty. My grandma just silently pointed to the big male symbol on the side of the box, clearly labeling it as a boy. At this point, the entitled mom just huffed and mumbled something about stupid, uneducated people from the countryside, and how she would never come back here again. Which I would also really appreciate. The entitled girl was whining loudly about her Emma, while her mom was dragging her back to their expensive-looking car, and my grandma and I watched them drive away before having a good laugh about the whole story. Speaking of milk,
I shouldn't do
what's
that.
your favorite kind of milk to drink? Please let us know. Chocolate milk all day, bruh. The kind that comes in the big gallon at the grocery store. Am I the jerk for no longer allowing my sister to work in my daycare after what she did? Hi, I'm a 32-year-old widow. Have been for 3 years. I struggled a lot financially. I didn't get help from my family because they claim they can't, so I decided to start a home daycare. It's been open for 7 months now. My friend was able to get me more clients via Facebook. Thank goodness my business is growing, and I've made quite a lot of friends who are moms, and also established a good reputation since my daycare has been recommended. My sister, 26, is unemployed. Didn't find a job yet, and had rent to pay for her and her boyfriend. My parents suggested I let her come work with me at my daycare, and accepted since she has experience in the past. I agreed to let her come and earn her living. She got along with the other workers, and things were going fine, until she came to me asking about a specific kid that comes to our daycare. He's 4, very well behaved for his age. I was confused after she complained about him. She said she saw his dad come over to pick him up, and didn't feel comfortable when she saw him because he's a police officer. And she had an unpleasant incident with the police because of something her boyfriend did that she needed therapy for and struggled a lot from. She wanted me to let the kid go and tell the parent to look for another daycare. He usually arrives at 3 p.m. to pick the kid up. From what I understand, his wife's sick. I refused. I've no good reason to let the kid go. My sister refused to drop it and started being mean to the dad. It was unprofessional of her. I told her she either be respectful or I won't have her work with me anymore. 2 days ago, she sent an email to the dad telling him we won't be welcoming his kid at the daycare anymore. He came to talk to me, and I was livid when I saw the email. He asked why and talked about his kid wanting to stay because he's friends with other kids. Talked about not being able to find a daycare closer than ours. I lashed out at my sister, and I told her she's no longer able to work at the daycare because of her behavior. We got into an argument, and she left after saying I was being unsupportive and inconsiderate. My parents called me saying I shouldn't have kicked out my sister, and I'm now causing her to lose her apartment. They argued I have no regard for my sister's trauma, and I should have let the kid go and supported her because she's my sister.
No.
Everyone shamed me and claimed I had messed up priorities. I felt I was in the wrong for letting her struggle now without a job, but I have no reason to let go of the kid as well. He wears a uniform. My aunt suggested that I ask him to get someone else to come and pick up his kid, or at least I let her leave before 3 p.m. and arrive a bit late in the morning. But others would notice the difference in treatment at the daycare. I understand that there are parents struggling, and I do all I can to help out and be supportive. Yes, she's my younger sister, but treating people like that was unprofessional of her. One thing to clarify, my sister's boyfriend is in no contact with my family due to issues. However, they said they want to support my sister and be in contact with her and support her, although they don't have a relationship with her boyfriend. That's why they keep pressuring me to help and support her. Well, who do you agree with? OP or her sister? Please let us know. When someone goes behind your back and puts your business at risk, you fire them. That sister's a liability waiting to happen. My boss used me for malicious compliance 5 years ago, and I just figured it out. About 5 years ago, I was the office guy for a small lumber mill. My direct supervisor was the general manager, but the owner was also pretty hands-on. The mill wasn't generating as much profit as the owner believed it could. He was probably right. The guy was smart as a whip with 60-plus years of experience. One of the things the owner tried to do was hire an outside consultant to try and find ways we could safely increase productivity or cut expenses. The guy had owned and operated his own mill and also had a ludicrous amount of experience. One of the things the consultant had been pushing for was running the mill into overtime.
I'll just redo it.
He thought we could increase productivity without incurring more expense than we gained. My boss asked me to run an analysis of how much we would gain/lose if we ran overtime. I did the math and gave him the results. Even in the best case, every minute of overtime would result in a net loss to the company.
There we go.
This report had taken me several hours as I wanted to be sure I gave him the right answer. My boss took it, nodded, and the next day announced we would be running the mill in overtime. 2 weeks later, when I prepared the end-of-month financial statements, it showed a large loss. I was quietly seething, since I felt like I had been asked a pointless question, my time wasted, and my input ignored. But looking back on it, with significantly more experience, I think I know what happened. I think my boss was bothered by the consultant who would come in to tell him how to do his job and then giving him bad advice. The owner wouldn't listen to my boss telling him he didn't need a consultant, so he did exactly what the consultant suggested and let the owner judge for himself. As far as my report went, I think he just wanted to be sure it wouldn't cost us too much when we pulled the trigger. Tom, if you're reading this, I'm sorry I was resentful about the whole affair for the past 5 years. My bad. Entitled Pool Mom's Plans Backfire. This happened in late July of 2019. Me, 17, female, and my family, what I call my family, and parents' friends' family that I grew up with, were at a pool at a super hot day. It was midday and the pool was packed. For some background, we were at a campground with 2 pools, so the pool I was in was filled with older kids and adults, while the other one was for the kids and the toddlers. The larger pool had been crowded by multiple families, and all the tables near the pool were filled. I had been floating on a pool tube in the pool, watching my friends play around me, and casually listening into my parents' and their friends' conversations. I was just vibing when I noticed some commotion coming from my left side. I saw maybe 6 boys, aging from 10 to 14, playing with the water basketball set, the ones where you shoot from inside the pool. They were just being kids, and every once in a while, the ball would roll away from the pool, and one of them would jump out to get the ball. It just so happened that the ball had rolled in the direction of our entitled parent. Entitled parent was with her 3 little kids. She started yelling at the boys. It's been a while since this happened, but I'll try to be as accurate as possible. Karen, Hey, quit playing so rough around my kids. You're making too much noise and getting my stuff all wet from your splashing, etc. She went on this rant for a while, yelling at the boys for playing in the pool. She cried about how her baby was getting splashed and how rude the boys were. At this point, the boys had all stopped to watch her in shock. I saw one of the boys look like he was about to cry. This is when I stepped, or floated in. Me. Excuse me, ma'am. Her gaze turned to me, and if looks could kill, I would have combusted.
What, this is creepy?
What?
What about this is creepy?
The boys are just playing. Let them be. Your kids are nowhere near them and aren't bothered at all. This is the camp pool. Let the kids play and leave them alone. Did I mention her own kids were on the other side of the pool splashing each other? She got red in the face and grumbled at me to shut up, but didn't really do much. The boys thanked me, and I thought the incident was over. Or so I thought. About 5 minutes later, I saw her still glaring at me, but I did my best to ignore her. I saw her skirt and walked over to her kids. She whispered to them something. They got super excited and started to run at me. I was slightly confused until I realized they weren't stopping. They ran at me and launched themselves into the pool to splash me. Now I have glasses and I'm pretty much blind without them, so I wear them in the pool with me if I'm just floating, like I was that day. Once I cleared the water from my glasses, I saw the kids giggling in the water, running to the ladder, and then the Karen just giving a smug grin. Then I had an idea. I grinned right back at her, and then turned to her kids with a laugh, and said with a smile, "Me, is that the best you got? I barely noticed any splash. Hit me again." The kids lit up with joy and quickly scrambled out of the pool and tried to splash me again. Each time I would laugh and encourage them to try again. This quickly turned into all the kids in my area trying their hardest to make the biggest splash and me ranking each splash. I will cherish the face the entitled parent gave me when she realized her plan of messing with me completely backfired and how she couldn't stop what was happening without her upsetting her kids. It was glorious. Am I the jerk for refusing any more communication with a girl who's not my daughter? Years ago, in my early 20s, I was contacted by my ex from high school telling me I had a daughter, Sarah, who was already 6 at the time. It was a pretty huge shock to me. I was still young and had no idea how to be a father to a young kid. But I met her anyways. I know it was pretty dumb of me to have just taken my ex's word for it, but I genuinely thought Sarah was mine. I met Sarah a couple of times a month for 4 months in order to get to know her. Even took her to Disneyland once. My brothers had known about her, but they were surprised when they found out I never asked for a paternity test. It didn't even occur to me until we had that talk. So right away, I told my ex I wanted a paternity test, and what do you know? Kid wasn't mine. That's when she confessed she knew who the father was.
Yes,
but he had passed when Sarah was a few months old, and she just wanted her daughter to have a dad. I stopped having contact right after that and told her to find another father figure for her daughter. Through the power of social media, Sarah, now 18, found me and initiated contact. At first, I had no idea who she was until she mentioned X's name. As it turned out, my ex never told her the truth, only that I had to go, whatever that means. But Sarah's been trying to find me, I guess, and wanted us to have contact. I didn't want to be the one to tell Sarah, so I said, speak with your mom about why I wasn't around. X finally told her, I guess, because Sarah messaged me again asking if we could meet. She said she knows I'm not her father, but I'm the only one she knows, and would still like for us to have something between us. I told her it would be better if we didn't. Yes, I was in her life for a short period, but we are both strangers now. I have my own life with my own family, and she should focus on making her own family with people she cares about. Sarah was clearly not happy with it, and she sent me more messages and tried to video call me. I told her we won't be having more contact, and I blocked her. A few days ago, I find out she contacted my other family on Facebook, my sisters and one of my brothers. They heard her side of this and are saying I'm being too hard on the kid. My sister says she may not be mine, but to her, I am still the only father figure she had in her life, so why not continue being that for her? It feels so insane to me. I have a wife and a son. She's not my daughter. It's hard to see how not wanting any more contact is something bad. I told my family that they are free to take up the mantle if they want, but I won't have anything else to do with her. But their argument is she wants me as a father figure in her life, and that's why I'm being too heartless with her.
Done.
Am I the jerk? Well, what do you think? Is OP being the jerk or not? Please let us know. My heart really goes out to that young lady. I hope she's all right. Karen and Ken started yelling at serving staff. I politely told them to get the heck out. A couple of weeks ago, I went out to breakfast while waiting for my car to get repaired. Just my luck, there was a mom and pop diner right down the road, and I went in and got a delicious meal. I worked serving industry for 3 years and still work customer service. I can't stand my meal being interrupted by some jerk being dramatic in public. It was a really slow morning, and I felt bad for the waitstaff. I was one of the 2 parties seated. Another couple comes in, and they're seated for about 4 to 5 minutes, and the servers are chatting. Like I said, there was almost no one there at the moment. Anyways, new table decides it's time to order. The servers are chatting it up, and the guy speaks up a little bit. Can y'all stop talking and take our order?
Not that
The server immediately apologized and ran over to the table. Instead of giving them their order and moving on, he started berating her for being unprofessional. Decided she rolled her eyes at him and gets up while slamming his chair and stuff, saying it was the worst service he ever received, and he's leaving. How dare you roll your eyes at a customer, was the quote that stood out. So he's making his way to the door, repeating insults, and of course, a party of 5 comes in. And this irked party of 2 is being loud as they bump into the party of 5, says, "Don't even walk into this place. You don't want their food or to talk to these." I couldn't deal anymore. Sir, that's enough. You said you were going to leave. Now shut the heck up. Stop being dramatic and leave. The food is fantastic. The service has been... What did you say to me? I said leave. Turning to face the party of 5 that looks like deer stuck in headlights standing by the entryway.
Awkward
the food has been fantastic. Sorry for the theatrics. That dude needs to go. Please have a seat wherever you're most comfortable. The Ken and Karen are looking at each other and me bewildered. But eventually, the wife nudges the husband to leave the store. The place starts to settle. 3 servers come up to me and say thank you. Eventually, my check came my way, and the table of 5 loudly asked the manager to give me a discount for getting them to stay. The servers even asked me to come back again soon. Going to stop in today for a great breakfast. Am I the jerk for not wanting to give my ex money for our kid until I see a bill? I, 32 male, have 2 kids with my ex, 34 female, who are 7 and 5. When we broke up, I did not want to deal with court-ordered child support, so we agreed to an unofficial amount of financial compensation. However, my ex knew I didn't want to deal with the courts and used that as a veiled threat whenever she wanted something. Anytime I got something for myself, or she heard about a new promotion at work, she demanded copies of my pay stubs for the last 3 months and wanted half. If I objected, she would pull the, well, maybe we should just let a judge decide. After 2 years of this crap, I told her I simply could not afford to keep paying the amounts she wanted and afford rent/food. She thought I was lying, even though I showed her my pay stubs and filed for child support. My parents were kind enough to lend me money for a decent attorney so I'd have a decent change. But my God, I never would have thought that the courts would rule in my favor. Based off of my income, the courts determined that I had been overpaying for each kid and ordered that I could pay a lesser amount and that my ex couldn't request for more until my kids were 9 and 7. It was also determined that I wouldn't be legally obligated to start paying the new amount for 6 months. Literally after the ruling, we were standing outside the doors of the courtroom. My ex and her attorney approached me and asked me to pay a higher amount. I shrugged and said that it would be best not to go against the judge's ruling and left. Finally, I was able to get my own place. A nicer, still used car and clothes. My ex has been calling and texting me for money, saying that the kids needed this and that. I told her that I'll pay for the necessities when the kids were with me, but she needed to figure everything out herself for the time being. She raged at me and called me a deadbeat, and then started dragging me on social media. To defend myself, I made a post about how the courts ruled and attached screenshots of her texts, always using the threat of the courts to get her way. I then finally stated that I do want to provide for my kids, so if there's anything that they need, to give me copies of the bills or an expense report, and I will look into paying for things directly. My ex and her family are saying that I am the jerk and controlling for wanting to know about her finances, but I don't see it as any different from how she treated me. So, am I the jerk? Well, who do you agree with, OP or his ex? Please let us know. Be careful who you procreate with. Am I the jerk for giving myself the bigger piece? We have one of those meal kit delivery services, and one of the meals this week was a salmon dish. I'm a big salmon fan, and my husband thinks it's okay, but prefers other things. More often than not, with this service, whenever there are 2 whole pieces of meat, like a steak or something, one of them will be bigger than the other. In this case, one salmon piece was practically double the size of the other. Normally, when this happens, I give my husband the bigger piece, since I'm a small lady and don't need as much food. But since salmon is my favorite, I figured it would be okay to give myself the big piece this week. I grilled him up a hot dog to go with his meal so that he would have the same amount of food to eat. He didn't say anything during the meal, but afterwards, when we were on the couch together, he asked me why I cut the salmon so uneven and gave myself so much more. I told him that it was actually pre-cut, and he didn't love salmon as much as I did, so I thought it would be okay for me to have the bigger piece. He then turns to me and said it was humiliating to be served a hot dog with his meal, and that if the portion really was that inadequate, I should have made a pork chop or something on an equal standing as the salmon to make up for it. I told him that I don't have a single pork chop.
How is a hot dog
around.
humiliating?
He
What?
tells me I could have gone to the store. I say, well, what is the point of getting meals delivered if I have to go out to the store? He was really upset about it. More upset than I've ever seen him at such a small issue. I told him that if he was still hungry, he could make some mac and cheese or something from the pantry. He says he shouldn't have to do that, and that I shouldn't just assume that he wouldn't want the bigger piece. I told him
Why should he
I
get
wanted
the bigger piece?
just this once, and that if he was going to throw a tantrum over it, then maybe he would be happier cooking his own meals from now on. He stormed upstairs and had left for work early by the time I woke up this morning. Was it really that bad? Edit. So pretty much whoever said he's mad or stressed about something else was right on target. He called me this morning and apologized and said that his boss had yelled at him over a client's error, and it had really stressed him out, and he was all wound up because of that, and made a fuss over something that wasn't a big deal. I told him I accepted his apology, and I didn't appreciate him taking work problems out on me. He agreed and promised that next time he was having a bad day, he would find an outlet and calm himself down. I said, hey, everybody gets a mulligan, so we're all good. I have to work late tonight, so he's going to pick up some ramen for us to have a late dinner with extra eggs for me because they are my favorite. Karen's sister acts like she's pregnant, even though she's not. I, 35, female, am pregnant with my sister's 30 female child. My sister has some fertility issues and is not able to have a safe pregnancy.
So you're pregnant with your sister's baby?
I offered to carry the baby for her and her husband. I'm now currently 6.5 months along, and everything is going well. Once we found out I was pregnant, my sister made the decision to live like she herself is the one who was pregnant. I found it odd, but I didn't see an issue with it. I understood that she's going through an emotional time. I mainly thought this was going to be something just between her and her husband. I was wrong, and she's begun to act pregnant in her daily life. At first, it was just small things, like having her husband run out to get her food she was craving. But it developed into things like wearing maternity wear. She also gets annoyed if I talk about my cravings or pregnancy symptoms around her. These things don't bother me much, and I just think my sister wants to feel involved.
How did that not bother you?
Today,
I'd lose
my
my
sister
shit.
wanted to go shopping to look at baby things, since
I would
the stores
simply
have
lose my
reopened
shit.
in our area. The day started with her getting angry whenever sales staff would talk to me. I would explain to the salesperson that my sister is the mother whenever it was needed. After a few stores, we arrived at a baby retailer where she wanted to make a baby registry. By this point, I was extremely tired and wanted to go home. I had told my sister this, and she promised this would be the last store. I must have looked exhausted, because as we were waiting, the salesperson brought over a chair for me to sit in, while the registry paperwork was done. When she brought it over, she did say something like, "Here's a chair for Mom." I didn't correct the salesperson this time, and just sat down. My sister told me to get up and give her the chair after I had sat down. I asked her why, and tried explaining that I was tired. My sister berated me by saying that the salesperson said the chair was for the mom, and that she was supposed to sit. She said that this was her registry appointment, and how dare I act like this was all about me. She said she was the one who was the expected mother, and that she needed to sit down
at
now.
that point, sister's not getting that baby. That baby's going up for adoption. Fuck you.
But I am the one who's currently pregnant.
No.
I snapped at her that she is not actually pregnant and does not get how exhausting it can be. I told her I'm trying my best to appease her, but she's being ridiculous. My sister began to cry, saying that I was shaming her for not being able to get pregnant, and that I was making fun of her. I tried to defend myself and tell her that's not what I meant. She wouldn't listen and ran out of the store. Everyone in the store was staring at us. They were looking at me like I was a complete monster after hearing what my sister said. My mother said that I should have just let my sister have the seat. I know this whole thing must seem so small and stupid because it's about a chair. I don't know if I am the jerk in this situation or not. Well, who do you agree with? OP or her sister? Please let us know. I'm actually concerned for her sister, to be honest. The hotel you wanted to stay at.
Yeah, her sister's clearly not okay, and she's probably not gonna be a good mom because that's weird fucking behavior.
In rural Ireland. About 500 people, 3 pubs, 1 hotel. It's a wee seaside village and quite picturesque, and is therefore plagued by tourists during any holidays. We lived directly opposite the hotel. The hotel was about to be razed to the ground and rebuilt without the 60 years of nicotine stains. The demolish was due to start in January, and the work was due to be completed sometime in 2003. It's a small town. Okay. Everyone knows everything as long as it's about someone else's business. The hotel's reception phone number is 1 number away from my parents' landline number. It's New Year's Eve, or more accurately, 4 a.m. on New Year's Day. I'm home from my shift dealing with drunk jerks that, as this was in the 90s, want nothing but Baileys and cream de mint shots and Bacardi breezers, with the occasional Irish coffee and a pint of Guinness that they'll order last as an afterthought and then complain about the wait. 4 a.m., my parents' living room. I'm having a wee decompress and a whiskey. Phone rings. Instinct kicks in. Town name Harbor Bar. Happy New Year. A slurred Belfast accent winds into my auditory canal. For most people reading this, when you think of an Irish accent, you probably think of a Cork or Galway accent. Nice and lyrical. Yeah. This is not the case with a Spidey Belfast accent. Think of a dentist drill that runs on tonic wine ordering McDonald's through its nasal passages. All right.
Not the Belfast slander right now.
For next year. Room 109, Jamie Jerkface. Me. Oh, sorry, mate. The hotel is closing in January and reopening in 2003. And the number for reception is 555-5545.
I apologize if anyone's from Belfast.
This is a private residence. How the heck would you know that? You said this was the bar. Just put me through to reception, you lazy jerk. Me. Hey, buzz off, mate. Hangs up. Phone rings again. Don't you dare hang up on me, you cow lover. Belfast people often accuse the rurals of cow loving, which is odd because pigs are so much lower maintenance, and you can test cosmetics on them to pretty them up. Town name hotel reception is 555-5545. This is a private residence. 555-5554. Don't call again.
Okay,
this happens a few more times because the daft drunk jerk is just hitting redial.
For all the skin
escalates with varying degrees as we both been drinking.
Anyway, so
me to a lesser extent. I unplug the phone from the wall. A few minutes pass. I'm formulating a plan.
Don't look when it comes to. Hold on, actually, I'm gonna just hide you really quick so I can change the titty color.
Good morning. Town name hotel reception. How can I help you? Is this Mr. Jerkface from room 109? How may I be of service? That's better. I want to book for the next year's same night. Certainly, Mr. Jerkface. We have a 50% loyalty discount as your previous guest. Same days? Right. Okay, that's all booked in for next year. Arriving on the morning of the 31st, yes? Brilliant. Wonderful. We will see you then. That year, I went away to uni. Came back for Christmas. Many things happened in the time in between. But then, New Year's Eve came along. My folks and I were in the living room looking out at a gigantic hole that used to be the hotel. And our other windows look out, but over the bay. And having a few beers. A car we don't recognize pulls up opposite the hole where the hotel used to be. And 3 confused-looking Belfast Spideys get out beside the big hole where town name hotel was. Something clicks in the back of my head, and I'm just laughing. I explained the whole thing to my dad, who I'd relayed the story to. These jerks drove about an hour to get here just to find out they've got nowhere to stay. We enjoy the show and open fresh tins as they start screaming at each other in front of our house.
You saw nothing.
It was a fun New Year's Eve. Am I the jerk for telling my girlfriend she can't show me any more TikToks? The last few months, TikTok has become my 20 male. Girlfriends, 20 female. Only personality trait.
Show me
sitting watching TV together? TikTok. Laying in bed? TikTok. Standing around making breakfast? TikTok. I wouldn't really care, except she insists that I watch every video with her. Every time I look away,
she's trying to connect with you, bro.
Look at this one. And then she proceeds to show me the 100th unfunny video of the day. She has a bad habit of making me watch her on her phone. showing me literally every single thing that comes on her screen.
Okay.
Whatever. I can just nod and pretend I care.
Done.
But now she'll show me these stupid videos and then try to explain why they're funny to me when I don't laugh, which only annoys me more. The second I wake up until the second I go to sleep, she's trying to show me TikToks. Clearly, she hadn't gotten the message that I literally do not care what these random unfunny teens post on the internet. I told her before to take it easy with showing me the TikToks because I don't find them enjoyable like she does. But she continues to
Dude, can you even pretend?
Only now
just pretend.
She adds this, oh, this is the last one. I swear it's really funny. Spoiler, it's not.
Oh my god.
This morning I had been awake for all of 2 minutes when the TikTokscapade started.
Seriously.
3 waste of time videos later, I rolled over to ignore them better. And she got all sad and tried guilt-tripping me about watching those stupid things. Well, I finally had enough and rolled over and told her she's not allowed to show me TikToks anymore. They're annoying, boring, and a waste of time. And I can't
you're about to get
watch
single real quick.
video. She called me a jerk and said I really hurt her feelings.
When she comes back to porn a bitch, I never fucking left. So goodbye.
And besides, it's not like I'm saying I
Goodbye.
hate anything she's created.
So
Am I the
annoying.
jerk? Edit. So I've had a few questions about shared interests and this being her hobby. Her and I have been together for over 3 years, and this girl is the most talented artist, dancer, and writer I've ever met. So many passions I love about her.
It's
We're
almost
both
like
in
all of
college,
those
living in
things
the
are
same
available
building,
on
so we
TikTok,
spend
and it's an
basically
outlet
all of
for
our time
her.
together. We have plenty of things we do together. Video games, movies, cooking. We even make puzzles together. The only thing that gets to me is the dang obsession with TikTok. Well,
Seems like you're obsessed with controlling what your girlfriend's into.
Please let us know.
What the
There's
fuck?
2 types of people in this world. Those who love TikTok and those who don't. Entitled stepmom bought me a locket for Christmas.
Right?
so
Like,
she
don't
could
stay
steal
with
it.
her.
I've always
It's
loved the
really not
concept
that
of a
deep.
locket.
It's like
I have
showing
a small
someone a
collection
funny
of them
tweet.
now, each a reminder of someone I love.
Like, the
But this
videos
one
are at
I never
most
replaced.
a minute or
This
3
happened
minutes
back in
long.
2011
It's
when
not
I
that
was
much of a
13 years
waste of
old.
time. Like, you
I'd been
can't spend
wanting a
3 minutes to
4-picture
pretend
locket
you're
to have
interested in
pictures of
something
my
that your
younger
girlfriend
half-brother
enjoys.
and 3 cousins
Really?
on my dad's side.
Do you even
Since
like
I
her?
had been wanting it for months, and Christmas coming up,
Like,
I asked
bro.
my biological dad for it, though I honestly didn't
I
expect
can't.
to come through. His new wife made it clear she favored her 2 sons, my stepbrother and half-brother, and wanted as little to do with me and my older brother, even if I didn't fully understand what was happening at the time. This often meant gifts for me and my brother were an afterthought.
Let's do
over the
ears.
years.
Let's do
I had
ears.
lost
Ears
count
are
of
good.
how they had gotten us that useless or something we didn't want. For example, clothing that's 2 sizes too
Let's
small.
do bows first.
So I was surprised when I went down for Boxing Day, and my first gift given to me after opening our stockings was the locket I had wanted. It was beautiful. It was a silver heart with a smaller heart engraved in the center, and it opened like a 4-leaf clover. It had no pictures in it, but my biological dad promised me he would email the photo of my little brother, and I was going to call my uncle as soon as I got home, but that would never happen. When I got home the next day, I was unpacking and couldn't find the locket anywhere.
Same.
It wasn't in my suitcase or my backpack. I was devastated. When I talked to his wife, she said I had forgotten it on the table and that I could grab it next time I was down at their house. I was so stupid when I was younger. I never thought to question why I didn't remember taking it out of my bag. It would be the end of January before I visited them again. When asked about the locket, I was told that they had tried to get the pictures done for me, but the photos had come out blurry and had to be redone. This was the story I got for weeks, that they were waiting for the photos, and then it changed to they had misplaced the locket and couldn't find it. I was more devastated than when I'd realized I hadn't taken it home. As it had gone from, I had to wait to get it back, to I was never getting it back. Then Easter happened. I was down at biological dad's for Easter that year. I was taking turns with my little brother hiding plastic eggs around the living room for my other, when biological dad's wife came downstairs. She was wearing the locket.
Yep.
She must have taken the fact that I had stopped asking about it, that I must have forgotten about the locket. I didn't say anything when I saw it, though the look was almost like she wanted me to. What had hurt the most wasn't having the locket stolen, it was the fact that my biological dad had known about what she had done and had been lying to me about it. It was the first time I understood that he didn't love me anymore. He was more interested in doing her bidding than protecting his kids. Am I the jerk?
I'd argue he might have never loved you, and he was just a shit
Neighbor
person.
witnessed, took pics, and said she stayed there for a bit while freaking out, then proceeded to park on the other side of the parking lot. Went upstairs and came back down with a rag and attempted to buff out the scratches and fix the dents, and then went back upstairs and didn't return. Cue to around 12:30 p.m. We walked past significant other's car and gaped in horror as the parking spot the other driver parked in was still empty, except for a few pieces of their car where they had bumped into it. There are pretty large dents and scrapes from the driver's side all the way back to the wheel. Along with those were the buff marks from where the neighbor tried to fix it. Neighbor saw us and told us what happened. We went to our leasing office to see if they knew the owner, as she left no note. They said the vehicle wasn't registered in their system. I called the police to file a report because at this point, it seemed pretty clear that she wasn't going to contact us, and I've heard horror stories where people try to blame the not-at-fault party for pre-existing damage. Police had their car towed/impounded, spoke with witnesses, and took pieces of her vehicle she left behind. An investigator called and informed us that she was a night nurse and was driving home from an exhausting shift and admitted to panicking, and she claims she went upstairs to write a note, but then fell asleep. She was cited for a hit and run. Investigators said we did the right thing, and he would have done it as well. Yesterday evening, my significant other found a note taped to his car that said, "I'm so sorry, I accidentally scratched your car up a little. I feel really bad. Here's my number. I want to keep insurance out of it. I tried to find your car to leave a note after, but it was gone by then." I'm infuriated, but conflicted. She blatantly lied in the note about the car being gone when it wasn't moved the whole time. My significant other thinks we should contact her and offer to pick her up from work since she may be in a situation where she doesn't have the support. I disagree. Since we have the report and had to go through police to even find out her insurance/contact info, I feel justified
I think offering her a ride is a bit
for the
much.
damages and having no other contact with her. We don't know her. Had she left a note, I'd probably feel differently, but I don't get that impression that she's sorry. Well, what would you do in the situation? Would you show mercy to the night nurse or not? Please let us know. Heck no. She thought she was gonna get away with it. Stop booking a room you cannot pay for and stop saying you've stayed here before for a cheaper price. I was checking in a lady who booked the room with a third party, and the first thing she asked was, "How much is the rate on my reservation?" So you know I asked for her name, so she gave it to me and I checked. All right, your rate for our biggest room is $120 before taxes. And she looks me dead in the eyes and asks, "Well, how much is the total with taxes?" So I go into my system again, and while I'm looking for the total, I ask for her ID and card she's using in the meantime. She kept asking me if she needs a credit card that she would rather pay with debit. Sure thing, credit, debit, it doesn't matter. So while she's looking for her ID, she asks, "Well, how much is it?" I was irritated with the way she presents herself at check-in and how she's raising her tone, so I tell her, "I'll check once I get your ID in form of payment." Absolutely lie coming up. I can't check for the total without both. So she finds her ID and card she used to make the reservation. In total, the room came up to $165.13 with taxes and the authorization upon check-in. This woman pulls the, "Let me try this card first," and it failed. Tried the second card and it also failed. She then asked me again, "Does it have to be credit?" Yet after I told her it can be debit or credit. Her debit card didn't work, and none of her other cards did. Her husband had to pay for it, and he was absolutely mad. I asked her if she needed our biggest room. "Well, what does it have?" "Oh, well, nothing. It's just bigger in size and bedrooms separated with a mini living room and kitchen." She then tells me, "Oh, we don't need it, but it sounds nice." Well, you could barely afford it. Another lady comes in as a walk-in. She needs a room with 2 beds, and I tell her that our 2 beds are sold out. So she asked for our single rooms and how much the price was. It's $109.99 before tax. Is that okay? She already had that face that you just know would tell you, "Let me talk to the husband." Yet before she could leave, she said, "Oh wow, it was much cheaper the last time I stayed. I wonder why the price went up," and left. Didn't care someone is going to get that room anyways. But she comes back and asks for the room for a much cheaper price. Kept mentioning the whole "stayed here before" thing. All right, you've been here? Well, let me go ahead and ask for your ID, and we'll see what your last rate was.
I'm honestly confused what the issue is with this one.
She gives me her ID, and I started searching for her profile to pop up, and nothing. No profile came out with her name.
Like, people always try to, like,
seem to have stayed with
find a way to get cheaper
Maybe
hotels.
It was the same hotel, different location. No, it was this exact location. It was way cheaper than your 109. I don't understand why you can't lower it. Whatever, I guess we'll head to a much fancier hotel. Fine by me. She came back 10 minutes later and paid $109.99. Glad to make business with you. Close all the deals we can to meet quota? Okay. This happened back in 2010.
Okay.
I had started working for a cemetery/funeral home combination a couple of years before this all took place. We had around 10 salespeople on our team and worked for a major corporation. At first, we had an amazing sales manager, Jim. He had actually worked at that location as a sales rep years prior and understood what we dealt with each day. He was extremely supportive and brought a great work culture to the team. Jim encouraged us to help families to the best of our abilities, and sales were simply a byproduct of that process, so everyone involved benefited, including the families we served. We were so successful that Jim received a promotion in 2010 to a regional market manager position in a different area, leaving us without a sales manager at our location. The rest of the sales team and I speculated that the company would bring in another manager from a smaller location to help continue our success. Instead, they decided to hire from outside the company. The guy they chose to replace Jim with was a sales manager from a major insurance company. We'll call him Jerk. While Jerk had a background in sales management, he knew close to nothing about what it was like in the funeral industry, and he had a style of management completely unlike that of Jim. At first, some of us tried to make him aware of the team culture we had in place, and how things would virtually run themselves if he would simply maintain what Jim had accomplished. Jerk became very dismissive and went as far as putting a label on the bottom of his coffee mug that read, "The Boss." Anytime someone would try to speak with him about the mistakes we believed he was making, he would take a sip of his coffee, thus showing the label. It was basically a "forget you." While this succeeded in shutting down complaints, it also alienated him from the sales team. He would also often brag about his past achievements and fail to acknowledge current success of our team members. It didn't take long before morale started to decline and sales performance began to slow. This was when we found out why Jerk changed industries. It became clear that Jerk had a drinking problem. He started disappearing around noon and would return a couple of hours later smelling of alcohol and appeared red-faced and very relaxed. Jerk also hired on a new sales rep to join the team. She was far different from the rest of us. She was young, good-looking, and very, very smug. We shall call her Karen. Karen had a background in business-to-business sales and did not mesh into the family culture we had developed over the years. Her arrogance made it clear that Jerk had big plans for her to be promoted quickly through the ranks. It was about that same time when we also heard of an incident involving Jerk during his 2 weeks of training at corporate headquarters. Jerk allegedly fell asleep while watching the Super Bowl and left the bathtub faucet on in his hotel bathroom. It was running long enough to overflow the tub and flooded 2 rooms below his, one of which was the hotel's IT room, causing around $20,000 in damages. This knowledge, combined with Jerk's apparent drinking habits, told us a lot about how he handled stress. As morale continued to decline along with our sales revenue, Jerk became more and more irritated. We had daily sales meetings, and his desperation began to show. It was clear that the corporation was pressuring Jerk to improve sales and that his job was in jeopardy. It's important to note that sales manager had the ability to give team incentives in order to motivate a team when necessary. While Jim had occasionally offered incentives, it was never anything like what Jerk offered our sales team at that time. We tried to explain to Jerk that it was a slow time of year for sales and that pushing customers too hard often ended up with less than ideal outcomes in the end. Jerk was having none of it. He promised that he would take the entire team out to celebrate if we hit our sales quota for the month. His incentive was a riverboat cruise for each salesperson plus 1 guest each if we simply hit our quota for the month. He said that if we had any customers that were on the fence, that we should do whatever we had in order to close the deal. We all agreed to do just that. For the next week and a half, we called every contact we could and pushed every deal towards a contract until we hit quota. We never sold anyone anything they didn't actually want, but we simply pushed to get it done sooner. The end result was we barely made our quota for the month. Jerk quickly took pride that he had pulled it off and made his quota for the next month.
We're not a company, we're a family.
Like,
fuck off. Sounds like you're gonna make me work for not shit.
My wife and I, however, decided to drive ourselves. We are not big drinkers, and normally wouldn't even go on something such as a riverboat cruise, but there was no way I was going to miss out on what was about to unfold. You see, What I also heard was that the regional manager for our area, the person that hired Jerk, was also going to be present on the cruise. I also knew that Jerk would make sure there was a full bar available on the company dime. I was right. My wife and I agreed in advance to have one drink each and to do a little dancing together, as we rightly deserved. However, what we really came to do was sit and watch. As expected, Jerk showed his true colors by drinking up a storm and running up a huge bill for the company. Better yet was that Karen and her date celebrated to an extreme. At the end of the cruise, my wife and I walked back to our car. Karen and her date were passed out and sprawled on a park bench on the dock.
Okay,
Jerk was trying to round everyone up to the limo. The following Monday brought the new month and our new sales tanked. We had burned through every lead we had the month prior and were left sitting at our desks with no leads. During each sales meeting that followed, Jerk became more and more desperate until he finally flipped out in the middle of a meeting. This alarmed one staff member, not me. Jerk was called into an HR meeting that resulted in his termination. Karen disappeared around the same time. Things at that location continued to take on a more corporate vibe, so I left that job a few years after that. About 5 years later, I saw Jerk living out of his car with 2 small dogs at the local bus station. We locked eyes for a moment, and I just smiled. I really do wish him the best, but I also hope he learns something about humility. My first experience with this kind of Karen. First, a description of what I look like. I'm short, thin, and look like I'm in my teens. I'm not. I'm 24. Wearing a big gray coat with a green shirt underneath and blue jeans. Also using my red wireless headphones and wearing a mask with skulls printed on it. I'm at my local grocery store where the uniform is dark red with orange highlights, so I look nothing like them. I'm looking at one of the shelves, seeing what snacks and drinks they have, when out of nowhere, my headphones are ripped off my head and a Karen is there, and I get ready for a fight. Karen, excuse me? I've been trying to get your attention for 5 minutes. She could have, but like I said,
we're coming together.
Me. Is there a problem, miss? I've been looking for kitchenware everywhere.
What do you think
and I
so
can't
far?
find it. And wait, you think I work here? Yes. You teens always have jobs in these sorts of places.
Okay.
I sigh heavily again. My shortness is a
Let's do
burden.
the mouth.
Me. I mean, you're not wrong about teens working here. But not only do I not work here, I'm not a teen. Now give me my headphones back. I reach for my headphones. No, you're going to take me to get what I want. Then you get your headphones. Me. Lady, look, I don't work here. I work at home. You can't just take something that doesn't belong to you if you want. I suggest looking for someone wearing the uniform, though. I doubt they'd help you because of how rude you are. How dare you speak? How dare you think it's okay to invade my personal space? How dare you think it's okay to take my property? And how dare you assume people will do as you say that might work for kids, but not a 24-year-old man who just came out for the first time in a week after dealing with a family pet dying. That last one wasn't necessary, but I was so mad that my trip out was ruined that it slipped out. R.I.P. to my cat, 11 years of fun. I snatched my headphones back, leaving her speechless.
Rip to the cat.
Me. Go look for someone wearing red and orange. That's what the staff wear here.
Okay, yeah, we'll
and
do
with that, I grabbed my
middle.
things and left. As a staff member turned the corner, I told her to turn and run back the way she came. There's a Karen back there. So this ends my story. I started laughing on my way home about how ridiculous this whole thing was. Woman assumes I was helping a customer, but I was helping my mom. I was making some homemade sheet candy, and before I started cooking, I noticed that I was out of cooking spray. So my mom and I head for the nearest grocery store. The employees at the store, which I worked at for a short time, wear a blue apron with the store name on the front. I was wearing a black apron covered in powdered sugar from the last batch I had made a couple of weeks prior. I had forgotten to take the apron off before heading out. While we were there, we decided to pick up a few extra things instead of just the cooking spray. My mom can't bend over due to having had a knee replacement surgery a while back, so I was helping her out by grabbing items off the lower shelf. My mom shuffled forwards a bit when I hear it. I turned around and faced a woman with a typical Karen haircut. I couldn't really see much of her face, but her mask definitely screamed to me, "I demand attention," with how brightly colored it was. But it was the eyes. She was glaring at me for some reason, and I couldn't figure out quite why. "Oh, sorry. Am I in your way?" This has not been the first time I've been confronted by someone for being in the way while looking for something or waiting for my mom to move forward. "You should be helping other customers." Uh-oh. I knew what this was the second she said that. There was no way she could recognize me as a former employee since I wasn't wearing my work wig and was only wearing a black bandana. I don't work here, ma'am. I stood up from my crouched position and straightened my apron since it had gotten up on my back a bit. Yes, you do. You're wearing an apron and helping that jerk get her groceries. That woman is my mother, and I don't work here. Maybe instead of being what you called my mom, you should think before you speak. I went to turn and walk away from her when she screeched at me.
Okay, I'm actually gonna make this darker.
Manager. You want me to get you my manager? Okay. I have a bit of a temper when people insult my family, but insulting my mom directly had majorly put me in a bad mood. What you may not know is that I'm the kind of person who becomes quite the smarty when confronted angrily. So I went and got my manager, my mother. Here's your manager. This woman has managed me for 24 years. Why don't you tell her what your complaint is? My mom looked so confused, but the Karen just huffed and stormed out of the aisle.
Well, I'm just
I thought that would be the end of it. We continued shopping when that same bright beacon of a mask came wheeling around the corner with a real employee in tow. That's her. That's the employee that refused to help me. Me. Mom, you need my help in here? No, I'm good. Meet you back at the car. The Karen stomped over to me, pointing and screeching at me and the employee. She was demanding I be fired for refusing to help her and instead favoring another customer. I just stared at her, scratched my nose through my mask, and waited for her to stop shrieking before I pointed at my apron. Black, not blue, lady. I don't work here. I was shopping with my mom. Leave me alone. The employee looked so confused, only managing out a week. She doesn't work here. The second that Karen started yelling at the employee, I just booked it out of there. I feel bad for leaving the guy with that crazy lady, but I wasn't about to deal with her crap or risk completely snapping and doing something crazy after she had insulted my mother. I must have a retail face or something, or rather retail eyes, with all of us having to wear masks. But really, lady, insulting a customer and demanding a person wearing a sugar-covered apron to help you? I ain't no sugary sweet maid that bends to your every will. Speaking of sugary sweets, what's your favorite kind of candy of all time? Please let us know. Take 5 for the win, bruh. My pregnant ex, Karen, demands money from me. My ex, 25 female, and I, 27 male, were together about 6 months, but during that time, we were free to see other people. Things weren't working out, so we broke up. Over a month after that, she finds out she's pregnant and tells me the baby is mine. But I already knew she was seeing other guys, so it was also possible the baby isn't. She got mad that I was having my doubts, but I said if we got a paternity test and it showed I'm the dad, then yeah, I'll 100% be involved. My ex didn't want that, and she'd rather wait until after the baby is born to get a test done. So I said that's fine, it's her choice. But I won't get myself involved unless I know the baby is mine. Like I already know, I could be set up for child support if I start helping out now.
Yeah,
and then later it's revealed I'm not the father. I live in the US and have heard this stuff happens a lot. I'd rather not even risk it, you know? She's about 8 months now, and I have started saving up money, reading up some books, making shopping cart lists of baby clothes and furniture to buy in case I am the father. So it's not like I'm not preparing for this at all. So right now, money is tight with her since I know she's only working part-time. She doesn't have the money for a baby bassinet or clothes because she practically lives paycheck to paycheck. She started asking to let her borrow money for baby stuff, but I've told her no. As far as I know, she doesn't have other family she's close to, and friends are the same as her with money. But I already said I'll start giving her money and helping out once I know her son is mine. Otherwise, I'd rather not get involved. I've even told her to reach out to the other guys who could also be the dads, but she said one is even more broke and the other she hasn't been able to contact. So for right now, seems like I'm the only one actually able to offer financial support. We have a couple mutual friends, and I'm getting crap from them because they know I have the money to help out. She could be the mom of my kid, so the least I could do is provide. They say they would if they had the money. Since I do have the means, and this baby could be mine, I should already be helping. They have a point. The baby could be mine, and I'll be happy to help out, once I know he is in fact mine. But everyone else is seeing it as I'm being too cold and inconsiderate. I don't think I am, but want to know what others believe. Am I the jerk? Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk for not giving money to his pregnant ex whose baby might not even be his? No. Please let us know. How about we stop making babies when we don't have the financial means to support them? That's never gonna happen. Rich entitled Ann throws a tantrum, gets shut down by her teenage son. So, I'm back with another entitled aunt story. However, this time the entitled aunt is my mother's sister, and not my father's sister, the subject of one of my last entitled aunt stories. My mother's sister married a wealthy man about 20-something odd years ago. I'm not sure what my uncle does for a living, but he makes enough money to classify as a millionaire. He's a pretty cool, down-to-earth person who, despite his financial status, is a very humble and generous person. My aunt, on the other hand, believes she deserves everything she wants because she's a good, God-loving person who devotes her life to God and his teachings, so she deserves to be pampered. From the sound of it, she doesn't cook, so her family does takeout every night. She doesn't clean, so they have a housekeeper, and she doesn't drive. I have no idea how my uncle has managed to stay with my aunt as long as he has. So back in 2018, my aunt, uncle, and younger cousin visited the family for Christmas. A few days after Christmas, I went to Boston with my aunt, uncle, cousin, and grandfather as their tour guide. They wanted to go to a few high-end stores around the Prudential Copley area, and I knew that area very well. After we had gone through all the high-end stores that I felt very out of place in, and my uncle dropped $1,500 on a purse for my aunt, we went to a popular cheesecake chain restaurant. The first thing I said when we sat at the table was, I can pay for my own meal. And my uncle gave me a nonsense. What kind of tourists would we be if we didn't give our personal tour guide some form of payment? We wouldn't have found this cool place if it weren't for you. We'll pay for your meal. I ended up ordering the cheapest thing I could find, a turkey club sandwich, and decided that I would forego the cheesecake. When dessert time came, I initially passed on a piece of cheesecake, but my aunt and uncle pressured me into ordering one once I admitted I had never had a piece from that restaurant. I offered to pay for my meal again once the check came, and once again, my uncle refused to let me. This is important. Fast forward a few days. My aunt and the rest of the family got into a bit of an argument about the dinner plans for that night. I don't remember everything that was said. I was playing Mario Kart with my older cousin's kids and my younger sister when this went down. I think she wanted to go to an expensive seafood restaurant, but the kids refused to eat seafood, and my older cousin's wife is allergic. So everyone else was suggesting we go elsewhere. And it led to my aunt crying about, I've done so much for all of you this week, and you can't even do something for me. We were kind and generous to pay for everyone every time we've gone to eat. No one else has offered to pay, so we've had to foot the whole bill every time. We basically went out to eat for breakfast and either lunch or dinner just about every day, and my aunt's demand, because she claimed that her 17-year-old son wouldn't eat home-cooked food. He wolfed down several pieces of the traditional French-Canadian meat pie my grandmother made for Christmas. My uncle wouldn't let anyone else pay for the restaurant bills because he had more than enough money to pay for everyone, and he knew his wife's demands of going to restaurants as a family for every meal could be a financial strain on the rest of us. She cried something about the sacrifices she made in Boston, like settling for a $1,500 purse when she wanted a $2,500 purse, and foregoing the matching wallet, which was a lie. She wanted a $1,000 purse that the store didn't have in stock, so she settled for a $1,500 purse, and eventually said, we were even nice enough to pay for OP's lunch when we went to Boston, because she decided to spend $40 on a set of measuring cups and didn't have enough money left for lunch. And then she had to order a piece of cheesecake. Yes, I'll admit, I did spend $40 on a 6-piece measuring cup set. And before I could even start to defend myself, my 17-year-old cousin went, What are you talking about, Mom? OP offered to pay for her food like 4 times, and Dad told her not to worry about it. She got the cheapest thing on the menu and wasn't even going to get a piece of cheesecake, but you and Dad forced her to.
Okay, there we go.
Uncle, my dad, has offered to pay for his family's meals every time we've gone out, but Dad never let him. Dad doesn't mind paying for everyone, so I don't know why you do. My aunt quieted down after that and reluctantly agreed to go somewhere else for dinner. I don't have many stories about her because she lives in a different part of the country, and I will go months, if not years, without talking to the rest of the family for no reason. So I rarely interact with her. Speaking of purses, how much is too much for a purse? Please let us know. Depends on who you're asking, buddy boy. Entitled song
that is the correct answer.
On our kid's birthday gets banned from the store.
That's funny.
Okay, so this was a story that happened a year ago, right around when lockdown started. Here's the cast. We've got me. We've got Kay. I'm not going with Karen. My aunt and an old friend of mine are called Karen, and they are the nicest people you could know. I was gonna go with Catherine, but I met a pretty cool Catherine, so I edited to Kay. We've got manager, we've got sweet kiddo, and we've got my awesome dad. I will also mention a cashier, but he doesn't really have a big part in this story. He never even said anything really. So on March 8th, 2020, my dad and I were waiting in line at a store, and I had a mini chocolate cake with me, along with some candles and sprinkles. I hadn't celebrated my birthday in 2 years, and this would make year 3, as my whole family canceled on me due to lockdown, which I get. But since I hadn't had a good birthday celebration in some time, my dad decided it would be a let's eat cake and watch movies tonight kind of birthday. I had put my cake on the conveyor belt along with my other
We're gonna go for 30 more
before
minutes and then we're done.
While I waited in line with my dad.
So much to do today.
I was halfway to
on a
jamming out
roll,
my
so
music when I feel a tap on my shoulder. I look at behind me, only to see a woman looking at me before smiling. She wasn't wearing a mask at this time because they weren't required, but my dad and I still were, as it's better to be safe than sorry. I take out my headphones and just
I literally wear the mask everywhere when I leave the house.
A pink shirt that barely reaches her belly button, and a pair of high shorts. Where I
Mostly because I don't want to do my makeup.
So those outfits are pretty normal. She was maybe 34.
Also, it's a good way to hide, so no one recognizes me. I'm keeping the mask forever.
He also wasn't wearing a mask, but he was a pretty sweet kid. He was actually
thank you.
really
Help me remember to leave, so I can go do all the things.
Hello, ma'am.
I'm really liking how the eyes are and everything is turning out, though. I think.
For a while. So talking to people I don't know can get me nervous.
Yes.
Hey, kid, can I ask you where you got that? She says, looking in the direction of the conveyor belt. Me. Got what? I look in that direction. That, she says, pointing at my cake. Oh, you mean my cake? I got that in the back of the store, where all the other baked goods are. Kay doesn't say anything.
Oh my god, yes, you don't have to smile at anyone. I'm really good at, like,
without even a thank you,
just smiling with my eyes.
Like, their cart right behind me. He just looked at me and smiled. I like your purple hair, miss.
It looks like I'm smiling, right?
Just seeing my little brother and smiling to myself before responding. I like your car's t-shirt. It's pretty cool. After that, my dad and I had shared a glance about what the woman did, and I just shrugged. About 3 minutes later, my dad and I make it to the front of the line. I just squint my eyes at people. And my dad realizes he left his wallet in his car. Since we were parked close to the store,
are you a doggy?
The cashier let my dad run out to the car to get his wallet. Right after he left, I hear a scream. I and everyone else turn their head to see the woman I had talked to earlier. Kay, this brat stole my cake. She yells, pointing at me. Me. What? No, I guessed you did, you little brat. She didn't even let me finish my sentence. You stole my cake. Then you were very rude to me when I asked for it back. Manager walks around the conveyor belt and stands next to the cashier and looks at me. Is this true, miss? Did you take her cake? No, I didn't. Today is my birthday, and my dad and I were just getting me a small cake. Kay, who is now back in line with her kid. That's not true. I told you it was my kid's birthday, and you just got
great,
mad
honestly, I like
my
it.
Cake.
I mean, I wore a mask when I didn't have makeup on before all this happened, just because that's what they do in Japan, and I am obsessed with that. It's genius.
The manager and even the cashier about how I was lying.
And I'm here for it, so yeah, that's.
I could see it was my dad.
I have adopted, and I'm keeping forever.
On my shoulders.
Not to mention, I have so many masks.
I just pointed to the yelling woman, and he nodded before getting in front of me and looking at the woman. Awesome dad. May I ask why you were screaming at my daughter?
Yes, the doggy.
She stole my kid's
She's a good
birthday
puppy.
cake. Now get out of the way and
She's
let me talk to the little jerk.
When she's not crying anymore, or begging or trying to steal my fucking waffle.
If this is your cake, why do my daughter and I have the candles and sprinkles, while you only have a magazine, a bag of chips, and a soda?
Well, there's a difference between, like, squinting, like this, like...
Sense, the woman went quiet.
And...
He looks at my dad and me, and goes to talk when we all hear a little voice. Sweet kid.
If you've ever watched America's Next Top Model, you would know. You can smile with your eyes. You gotta smize.
He was saying it was his mother's cake. Manager,
you gotta practice your smizing.
Whose cake is it, kiddo? The manager asks, looking down at the 10-year-old.
Because some people smile without using their eyes, and that creeps me out too. Like,
before going to the conveyor belt, he stood as tall as he could before pushing the cake towards me and my dad. Kay,
I look like I'm gonna kill someone.
Dad.
I look like the crazy girlfriend meme.
My daughter or the kid. There are cameras all around the store. If the woman was quiet before, she was extra quiet now, and her face was turning white. We paid for the cake, candles, and sprinkles. Then, on the way out of the store, I could hear the woman yelling about how she wanted a free cake for all of the BS she had to deal with today because of that entitled brat and her father. My dad and I just laughed and left the store. Before we left, I turned around.
It always creeps me out when people don't smile with their eyes. I'm always just like, good.
I waved back at him as my dad and I left. Around a month later, my dad and I had come back, masked up and hand sanitized again, just coming for groceries. I met up with a worker who was a friend I knew in high school. We started talking and the lady came up. They looked at me and laughed. Wait, that entitled brat was you? I just nodded and looked at them, curious as to why they were laughing.
Also, I can do this type of smile
how the woman knocked down the magazines and lollipop stands by the cash
without people thinking I'm judging
along
them.
with yelling at the manager and the cashier. She ended up getting a temporary ban from the store. I had also found out that my dad and I got the last mini cake that day. We both had a laugh. Then I had to say goodbye, and I caught up with my dad so he could leave the store soon. To be honest, I just remembered this story because it's almost March 8th again. My birthday is coming up. I wonder if I'll see the kid.
I intentionally do crazy eyes in my photos.
God, I hope not.
For the record, because I enjoy
it. What's your favorite kind of cake of all time? Please let us know in the comments below.
Okay,
I'm a huge fan of ice cream.
I'm gonna do a tooth shadow.
Am I the jerk for using the money I saved to get my stepson a prosthetic leg instead of contributing towards my brother's wedding? I, male 33, have a younger brother, male 25, who's the family's golden child. Once he was born, he had 3 parents, mom, dad, and me. I was required to drop everything anytime to look after him. I shared 65% of his care in the first few years of his life. Then as he grew older, my parents expected me to provide for him financially. He fell sick, and I ended up paying for his medical expenses, driving him places.
Wait, why did you pay for it?
Follow-ups with him. I did all of that, while all my other social relationships fell apart.
Literally,
no more friends
what?
calling, nor seeing me. I had trouble committing to a serious relationship because I didn't give it my all. Once I met my fiancée, I kept my distance and focused on her and my stepson. My mom called to ask why I'm no longer doing things for my brother. They made comments that my fiancé stole me to get me to raise her son. He's 13, uses crutches because his left leg is amputated. We do everything together. I love him so much, and I can't wait to adopt him, and my fiancé is happy with it. I only visit family on big occasions, since my aunt is kind and treats my fiancé well. My brother is getting married on March, and I heard the family was putting money together to pay for the wedding. My dad called me to ask me to contribute with $15,000, which was a lot.
Sorry.
I have other responsibilities. I'm a dad now and need to focus on my son's needs. After talking,
sorry, that was very shrill. Like, what the fuck? That's so much.
No one else paid a dime, and it was just me who contributed. And it was a lie for my parents to get me back on track, because my brother is and should always be my priority. I went to talk to them. Then I blew up after Mom started talking about how my fiancé was clearly using me to provide for her son. I argued with her, told her I won't be contributing anything towards the wedding and will use the money to get my stepson a prosthetic leg since he is my priority now. My fiancé couldn't believe when I told her. They were shocked, and my uncle berated me for doing this and called me nuts because my fiancé isn't even married to me yet, so she and her son weren't yet family. I argued with them, then I left. I noticed more relatives started berating me, saying I ruined it for my brother. He'll resent me, and I was being selfish and stupid to do that. They asked me to take my rose-colored glasses off and realize that family remains, but relationships like that, meaning fiancé, that are based on greed, don't last.
Meaning relationships like a fiancé?
I don't regret what I've done for my brother.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Me, and I have always been supportive of him. But this wedding isn't really for him, but my parents' image, and trying to show it off to everyone. I'm sure my brother prefers a simple celebration, but they control everything. No, it's not a cultural thing, but more about looking good to outsiders. I know I wasn't clear about why my family thinks my fiancé was with me because of money. It's because of my appearance. I have a burn scar that covers the side of my face and goes down my neck because of...
Hold the fuck on. I need to pause, because... Bitch! What? Your family's just a fucking abusive and trying to gaslight and manipulate you out of your literal relationship with your fiance, saying that whole blood is thicker than water. Yeah, that's not the full fucking quote. It's like something else. It's like the blood of the something is thicker than the water of the womb. Basically, it's saying the opposite It means that the family you choose has a stronger bond than the family you're born into because you've actively chosen them over and over again. That's why it's stronger. Saying that family is more important than, like, people you've chosen to have a relationship with literally makes no fucking sense. Like, and then they're asking for money on top of it. Your brother doesn't even want that. Like,
An accident I had 3 years ago. It doesn't bother
and then
me.
they're trying to undermine it by saying she doesn't even like your
That's never been an
appearance and
issue.
trying to give
But
you
my family
fucking
keeps
confidence
bringing it
issues
up,
about
like
that
they're
when
shocked
it's
my
not even
fiancé
probably
isn't bothered
true.
by that. I wanted to mention this, but I hesitated
Oh,
because
here.
I wasn't.
Gaslighting means that it's not just like when someone is lying to you. It's they are actively over a long period of time telling you things that undermine your own sanity, and they're trying to make you doubt yourself and your own thoughts and experiences to manipulate you into being like whatever they want or thinking whatever they want. So in this case, the parents are gaslighting him by constantly telling him that his fiance only wants him for money, that family matters more, that he needs to abandon his fiance and he needs to care for his brother instead, and like his loyalties only lie to the family, and like just repeating that stuff over and over and over again when it's like not true, and they're aware it's not true. It's not like they, you know, I mean, maybe they're that fucking delusional, but I highly doubt it. They are just trying to manipulate him and trying to get his money. So that's how they're gaslighting him, because they're literally trying to make him doubt the sanctity of his own fucking fiance. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy, bruh.
Sure what people were going to think. I'm sorry.
Ugh.
Well, who do you think is the jerk? Oh,
Yeah,
me
no.
or his parents?
Gaslighting is a
Please
very
let us know.
malicious,
When you have parents like that in your life,
intentional
the best thing you can do is cut them off.
thing that
Man,
abusive
I'm a soldier,
partners
not a
or
plumber. This
parents
is my
or
first
friends
post, so
do
please be nice.
that
Background.
will
Title
try
says it. I'm
to
a soldier
make you
in the
doubt
German Navy.
your
Our
own
uniform is
brain,
straight dark
basically.
blue.
And
Most
like,
of the plumbers working in
like,
Germany
let's
also
say
have
you
blue
saw,
working clothes. It was in
let's
the
say you
winter of
saw your girlfriend
2019,
cheating
around
on you.
December.
You
So
walk
I was
in on her
also
cheating
wearing
on
my
you.
blue
The
Navy
next day
jacket
she's
to
like,
the
you didn't
coldness.
see that. That didn't
After
happen.
2
What are you
weeks
talking about?
spending on sea, I
And
was
you're just like,
glad to head home by
what?
train.
Yes, it did. I fucking
Changed
saw
my
you.
uniform
Like, I
to
literally saw
civilian
you. What are you
clothes,
talking about?
because as
And
a
she's like, no,
German
you
soldier,
didn't.
you
What do
can
you,
use the
like,
train
that
for
didn't
free
happen.
if you wear your uniform.
What are you talking about?
At a
I was
station,
with my
I
friends
had to wait
yesterday.
about an
Did you have a
hour for the
dream?
next
That's so
train to
crazy.
arrive.
Maybe we
So
should get
I
you
thought
checked
I'd
out.
use the
Like,
bathroom.
kind of worried about you.
If I
Like,
had
that's
known.
gaslighting.
We've got me.
Okay?
We've got Karen. We've got police officers 1 and 2, and we've got the employee
Blood is
who
thicker
sells
than a
tickets.
Snicker.
Let's go. Karen, the bathroom is flooded. You have to fix it.
Why is it so
Me.
funny?
Excuse me, ma'am? Fix it.
Uh,
Me. I think you've mistaken me. I'm not working here. Yes, you do. You have working clothes on. So go and fix it.
You have working
Otherwise, I'll
clothes
report
on.
you.
I'm fine.
Me. Ma'am, I'm a soldier, not a plumber. Look at my jacket. Here it stands. I point to my jacket where it says German Navy. She
Bro,
starts to rage.
that's
You
hilarious.
lazy jerk.
Or
How
bosses,
would
you're
you
right.
work?
Anyone
I
in a
pay
type of
taxes for your
position of
money.
power or
Me.
intimate
That's
relationship
right.
with you
But
can
you've
do it.
mistaken me. I pull
Your
out my
children,
military ID.
anyone.
This is my military ID. Look, I am a soldier. She yelled at me really loud, like I didn't know women are able
That
to
was
do
the
that, to
real
be
cool
honest.
boy fixing
At
the
this
washing
point, a
machine.
station employee caught attention. Employee, is there a problem? Karen.
Yeah.
Yes, the bathroom is flooded, and she grabs me on my jacket, refuses to do his work he's supposed
Exactly.
to do. Me. Ma'am, I'm
Don't
afraid
give
to
in to
say
peer
it again,
pressure. Even
but
if
I'm not a
everyone's
plumber.
like, you did
Soldier
the
for
thing
German
wrong, like
Navy.
they all,
This is what I am.
they might
And
not
do
have all
not
the
touch me
information.
again.
Like,
I
you
get
have
rid
to
of her
work off
grab.
of what information you
Employee.
have,
Yeah,
and like try
it's
your
a
best to
uniform
gain
from
all
the
the
Navy.
information you have
Suddenly,
to
she
make the
starts
best
to
choice,
scream and
but
throw
like,
herself to the ground.
ultimately it's your
Ah,
choice to be
they
making.
slapped me in the face. She still screams, and the police caught attention. Officer,
Okay, let's
ma'am,
see.
what happened? He slapped me in the face.
He
Employee,
slapped me in the
it's
face.
not true. He didn't. Yes, he did. You are
That's
covering
funny.
for your coworker, you liar. Employee, I'm
Oh,
not
great, I
his
gotta do bottom
coworker.
teeth now.
Me, I really didn't. She grabbed my jacket, and I just got her to lose her grab. Then she started screaming. At this point, she discussed with the police officer, and I showed my ID to the other officer. Officer,
no, you.
Ma'am, he's right.
You.
He's not a plumber, he's a soldier. And also, our offices have evidence that he didn't slap you at all. It's on camera. I think we should have a closer talk in the office. Officer 2, sorry, sir, for all that trouble. Have a safe travel. Me, thank you. The officer took her to the office, and I've never heard from her again. Gladly. The employee and I just laugh our butts off. He got me a coffee, and we chatted a bit until I jumped on my train. Oh boy, what a Karen. Sorry for my bad English.
You.
Am I the jerk for telling my coworkers why I quit? I, 21 female, started working at a coffee shop about 2 months ago. I loved it when I first started. It was hard work, but enjoyable, and I made good tips. I liked my coworkers and the owners as well. For context, the owners are a young couple. The owner I am referencing in this is the wife. Let's call her V. Yesterday, when I was working my shift, I saw some things that make me wildly uncomfortable. To start, the manager that works there, I'll be calling her M, does all of the duties of a manager, but is not technically one. I found out that she's being paid $9 an hour, which is less than half of what Starbucks managers make. This is a family-owned shop in a wealthy part of town. It's criminal how they pay her. It's also important to note that the shop is severely understaffed. Before I quit, there were 3 employees, plus the owners, who both have jobs. I was expected to work and close alone. I got off training less than a month ago, on Friday and Saturday nights, which are the busiest nights of the week. It's also a bakery, so it still gets business at night. At this point, I think they are understaffing to make a profit. Anyways, aside from the pay thing, yesterday while I was on shift, I witnessed V yelling at M about completely mundane things. It was extremely inappropriate and degrading. The way she talked to M made it seem like she was a child, not the grown woman who keeps the shop from falling apart. It made me so uncomfortable to see the owners treating the most valuable worker they have with such little respect and regard for decency. I have a no-tolerance policy for things like this in the workplace. Additionally, the owners tried to implement an illegal practice that requires employees to pay drawer shortages. It's illegal in my state to do so unless written consent is given, and only if the deduction doesn't make the worker go below minimum wage. This wasn't an issue until my drawer came up short $7 Friday night. They tried to make me pay it, even though everyone else had worked that day. I just had the responsibility of counting the drawer. They ended up dropping the whole thing after I told them I would call the workforce commission in my state and report them for illegally deducting my wages. I know it's only $7, but it isn't about the money. It's about the legality and the lack of respect
it really
in all
is.
regards. Anyways, I quit this morning. I decided it would be appropriate to tell my friend who recently got hired but hadn't started yet what happened, as well as the high school age girl I worked with there. I thought it would be important for them to know about the treatment going on. I'm afraid I might be the jerk, because I think what I did was right.
Why?
But it also might not have been my place to contact my coworkers and tell them what happened. If they quit, the place will go under, which I don't feel that bad about, because it's the owner's
their fault.
They treat staff so badly. But I still do feel a little guilty. Am I the jerk for potentially causing a shop to close down and for contacting my coworkers? Update. Thank you for all of the kind words. After I quit, I felt more confident about the situation, as she tried to start gaslighting me about not understanding reality. She also said several times it was sad I was quitting over a cash shortage.
Interesting.
I made sure to correct her and tell her it was her behavior that made me quit. Update. A lot of comments are suggesting I make the report anyways. I really want to do this. The
Found a
only issue
gaslighting
is they
boss.
will obviously know it was me, and I'm afraid of retaliation of some kind. They know where I live because they had to come pick up the key to the store. The owners locked themselves out from my apartment at one point, which weirded me out, but that's another issue. I know it's unlikely that anything would happen, but I am nervous nonetheless, and not sure exactly what would be best.
They would 1000%
I
get in
made sure
trouble
to
if they
text the current workers
retaliate.
the laws and explain to them why it's illegal. So I'm hoping they will be able to stand their ground. Have you ever had a boss that treated you horribly? If so, what did you do about it? Please let us know. I think we need some pro-revenge against this boss.
Actually, I think all my bosses were pretty
for
decent.
saying to my mother-in-law that she needs to get over the idea we would ever move to Ohio? My wife and I met in Boulder for school. Housing costs are crazy. Actually being able to afford to buy is out of the question for us for a bit. But we are renting a pretty nice place and are happy for now. We spend the week working jobs we don't hate, then go hiking, biking, skiing, and camping. My mother-in-law hates that my wife moved out here, and hates it even more that nothing she says or does convinces us to move back to being closer to family. To be blunt, there's nothing that could convince me to move to a place like Ohio and leave everything worth living for behind just to be near family. Last week it came to a head when we were on Zoom. I said that we were going to go on a snowshoe adventure in the mountains and stay in a friend's cabin for a few nights. I've been looking forward to it for weeks. She said, well, I wanted to let you guys know there's a house up for sale nearby that I thought you'd really like. She rambled on and on about all the features of the house, including its great location, and mentioned how they would even help us with a down payment. At that point, I was just fed up because nothing can get through to this woman. I said, that's annoying. Marlene, there is nothing you can do or say that would ever get us to move to Ohio. You need to get the fantasy out of your head. It's never going to happen. I mean, she said I was being rude, and she was just trying to help us, and repeated that they would even help us with a down payment, and it would help us settle down, finally, and be closer to family. No. I told her that was manipulative, and joked that if they want to be closer to us so badly, why don't they move out here? And just stepped away to let my wife wrap up the call. 10 minutes later, my wife came by and was laughing and said that her mom is angry because, what's wrong with Ohio? I raised you here, and now you're too good for it? Before I get told I'm pretentious or whatever, I'm sure that Ohio is perfectly fine for the people who live there. But why would we trade our lifestyle and everything we love? Why own a house in a place we don't want to be? We both had a laugh about it, but mother-in-law wouldn't let it go and insisted on sharing with everyone how awful and mean her son-in-law is because we won't move to Ohio. People were laying on the guilt trip, saying how they'd be so heartbroken if their kids left and they'd feel like failures. A lot of what's wrong with Ohio and things like that. And of course, a lot of talk of kids these days want to live in the big city and have it all and then complain that they can't afford to buy a house. I chimed in with, the offer still stands. If you want to be closer to family, you can always move here. I got angry reacts and told her that I was being a jerk. Was I? By the way, guys, Michigan isn't exactly a step up. Guys, this is a joke based on your comments relating to college sports. Please calm down. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his mother-in-law? Please let us know. If he doesn't want it, maybe we can take up our offer. It's not every day someone offers to make a down payment on your house. Am I the jerk for refusing to take my
I would definitely probably personally take that. I'd be like, oh, you're gonna pay for it though? Bet.
My mom married my stepdad, who also had a 13-year-old daughter. For the purpose of this post, we'll call her Emma.
Sounds very good.
Me and Emma have never gotten along. When I was 22, I finally went no contact with her. The straw that finally broke the camel's back was when she gleefully announced she was pregnant with my then fiance on Christmas Day. That was honestly one of the worst times in my life, and it took me a really long time to recover from the betrayal. Emma ended up marrying my ex, and they have a son together.
She was pregnant with your fiance?
And engaged to a wonderful man who was a lot better than my ex ever was. Emma and my ex ended up divorcing after 3 years, and she now lives with my mom and stepdad. My fiance has family in Italy who he'd like me and my parents to meet before the wedding. The original plan was to go this summer, but obviously with everything going on right now, our plans got put on hold. I was discussing the plans to reschedule for next year with my mom recently, and she asked me if I was going to invite Emma and her son along. I told her I wasn't, and she asked me to reconsider because she didn't think my stepdad would come otherwise. That's fine with me. It's really just my mom and dad that my fiance wants to introduce to his family. She argued Emma has matured since becoming a mom and getting divorced, and that she wants to attempt to have a relationship with me. When I told her I wasn't interested, she said I was putting her in an awkward position, and that I was taking my half-sister and stepbrother on my dad's side, so she felt like I was favoring him. My stepbrother is literally the one who introduced me to my fiance, and my half-sister and I are close. She also said it's unfair because Emma could never afford a trip like this on her own, and my nephew would be the one to miss out on bonding time with his cousins. She asked me to reconsider before she left, and she has only replied to my texts to ask if I had changed my mind. I'm starting to feel guilty because I know mine and Emma's dislike for one another has put a massive strain on my mom's marriage, and it's not fair to her.
It's not your fucking problem,
to ask me
bro.
to change my mind. I'm starting to worry my mom might not come either with how cold she's being. My full sister has also reached out and told me Emma had been going to therapy and has realized what she did was horrible and that I should consider forgiving her because she was going through a lot of her own issues. Depression, low self-esteem at the time, and that my ex also made her suffer a lot too. Realistically, if she came on the trip, I could just avoid her the entire time. but I also don't know if she has changed or if she'll start up her old tricks again. My fiance is also the one paying for the trip, and I selfishly don't want him to pay for her. Am I the jerk? Entitled mom thinks the food is taking too long, so makes us throw it out. Comes back 5 minutes later because she changed her mind. I'd been working in an ice cream shop each summer for 6 summers when this had happened.
All right.
It was my 4th year. It was the beginning of the season,
Shadows.
and I was also training a new employee. And because the store was small, we're usually only there with 1 or 2 people. On this day, it was very busy, and most people were fine waiting as we did our best to help people as fast as possible. Entitled mom just thought we still weren't fast enough. Cast.
Cool.
We've got entitled mom, we've got coworker, we've got nice customer.
I like how much work that was, and it doesn't even look like anything changed.
Me, but I was next, not this person here.
Oh shoot! You're right. It is almost time.
In a minute. Nice customer. You actually just walked in. There are more people waiting.
Fun.
At this time,
all right,
I was already looking at entitled mom like she could be
should
trouble.
probably wrap
so I kept an eye on her and coworker while she was ordering.
Here, I'll let this one finish.
I would like 2 scoops of Smurf and strawberry and a waffle. Coworker. Okay, that'll be $5.20. It'll take a minute to prepare the waffle. At this point, entitled mom paid and started waiting patiently for about 20 seconds before crap hit the fan. Entitled mom. I've been waiting forever for my waffle. What's going on here? Coworker. Like I said, it'll take a minute for it to be ready. It'll be done shortly.
Oh.
Me. Coworker.
We did get a lot done. We got a lot of shading.
Miss, like coworker told you, it takes a few minutes to get ready, but it's almost done. You can't make me wait this long. I have a kid on her own outside. I can't leave her this long. Me, if you want, you can wait outside, and I'll bring it out when it's done. So she goes outside with the ice cream, but comes back in immediately. Entitled mom. I want a refund for the waffle because it's taking too long, and my kid is alone outside. Me. Okay, but it's done now, so you can still take it. No, I don't want it anymore. I want my money back. Well, here it is, and have a nice day. You should treat the customers with more respect. Me. Well, if you don't want anything, you should go, because we have more customers waiting. Entitled mom leaves. Dude,
yes, I actually, hold on, wait.
And giving coworker pointers again.
Hold on.
When 5 minutes later, entitled mom walks back in. We also had to throw the waffle out, because if you reheat it, it just tastes nasty, and we can't sell it to anyone. Entitled mom. I changed my mind. I still want the waffle, but make it fast because my kid is outside. Me. Okay, that'll be $2.50, and it takes a minute to be ready. You can't make me wait. What about the one you made earlier? I don't have time to wait for the food.
Look.
Me. We had to throw it out because you didn't want it, so I have to make a new one now. Also, you can just wait outside and I'll bring it out to you.
Yes, they did make blue waffles.
But I want the number of your boss.
They're pretty fucking good too, honestly. I would suggest you go buy some.
Sure.
They're good as fuck. They're really good. They're like cotton candy flavor.
And the waffle, and she
so good.
I never heard about it again from my boss, so I think it never came through.
Okay, I'm gonna pause. All right, guys. That was a lot of fun. We should definitely do some more drawing streams. Maybe we can do another one next Monday. And I'm gonna work on this some more whenever I have some free time. I don't know if I'm gonna have any this week. Maybe next weekend, aka next Sunday. But yeah, other than that, yeah. So fucking busy this week. So yeah, tomorrow. Okay, so goodbye. Okay, goodbye. Goodbye. Anyway. Okay. Tomorrow, I already went over this at the beginning of the stream, but I just want to go over it for myself again so I can remember my schedule. So, tomorrow, I'm going to try to film as many different photo sets for Fansly as I can, as well as doing a Snapchat photo set tomorrow. So, a lot of stuff happening tomorrow. I'm going to be very busy. And then I also have to get all my Thanksgiving stuff. Wednesday, me and Katie have a stream at 12:30. We're probably going to do some more Am I the Asshole? Or actually, we're going to do Just No MLMs next time. That's what we were going to do. So yeah, we're going to do some Just No MLMs. Hopefully she's feeling better by then. If not, well, maybe she can just do audio and hang out with us. But yeah, so we're going to do that on Wednesday. Otherwise, I have to film all of my Thanksgiving content on Wednesday, so that's going to be very busy. And then I have to start cooking for Thanksgiving. I'm gonna be cooking all day because I'm doing Thanksgiving for just me and my boyfriend, so it's all on me to do the whole meal. But I'll post pictures of it, don't worry. And then also for the video, I'm planning to give you guys a potato recipe, a mashed potato recipe, and maybe a cranberry sauce recipe. Those are the two things I'm planning to do on Wednesday to prep. So I think I'm gonna incorporate those into the video in some way. But anyway, so that's Wednesday and Thursday. Friday, I'm gonna edit. I have shit. I'm editing. We're gonna stream, and then I have to prep for my anniversary, which is next weekend or this weekend. Yeah. So busy week. Don't mind me if I'm a little bit AFK and not very responsive, but it's because this week is gonna be busy as shit. So yeah. All right, but thank you guys for hanging out with me. Today was really fun. We'll definitely have to do this again. Let's see what else. Yeah, okay, that's it. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you to mods. Thank you to people who donated. Thank you to everybody who, you know, chatted in the chat and hung out with me and everything and enjoyed the drawings and stuff and helped me decide which model we were gonna go with. Yeah, so thank you guys so much. This was very fun. I appreciate you. Thank you if you liked the video. Thank you if you subscribed. Thank you if you joined. Thank you to all of the peoples and everything. All right. Yay. Okay. Thanks, guys. I will see you on Wednesday. Yeah. Bye.